Chapter 1527. The Duke Ning Palace's guards were all shocked, but when they saw the countless bees and insects, they didn't know what to do. Could it be that they had to use their blades to chop these little insects to death? Chen Ning saw this and couldn't help looking over at Gu Qingze. She thought of the bottle of luring insect powder that Gu Qingze showed her yesterday and couldn't help being filled with admiration. She never thought that this small bottle of powder would have such a strong effect. These ants and bees were truly enough to make Zhao Rong Region Princess suffer. Master, I think this bad princess has been taught a lesson. How about we let her go? She walked beside Gu Qingze and said in a low voice. After all, Zhao Rong Region Princess was Imo Chuan's cousin and Duke Ning's beloved daughter. If she was stung to death by the bees, the consequences would be very serious and it might even affect Gu Qingze. No matter what, Gu Qingze had used this method to teach Zhao Rong Region Princess a lesson to help prevent her anger. An eye for an eye, she couldn't let Gu Qingze fall into trouble. Do what you want, it has nothing to do with me. Gu Qingze did not even look at this chaotic scene. He turned around and walked into the palace with an expressionless face. Chen Ning knew that Gu Qingze was silently agreeing. She raised her voice and shouted, "Don't panic, these insects are most afraid of fire. Quickly light a torch and save the princess." The guards were in a mess like headless flies, but when they heard Chen Ning's words, it was like they had woken up from a dream. "That's right, we need to light a torch. Quickly bring a torch." But in this rush, they couldn't think of where to find a torch. There was a guard who had a quick mind and charged into a nearby shop. He broke off a chair leg and lit it, turning it into a burning torch. The other guards followed suit. They all raised their torches and charged beside Zhao Rong Region Princess. As expected, when they saw the fire, the bees and insects all moved away, not daring to approach the ring of fire. But the insects that had crawled into Zhao Rong Region Princess' clothes kept biting her, making Zhao Rong Region Princess cry out in pain. "It's so itchy. It hurts. Are you damned bugs crazy? I'm going to kill all of you. Kill." She scratched her body desperately, but the more she scratched, the more itchy and painful it became. Chen Ning took a step forward. "Princess consort, you should save your energy and stop scolding them. These insects don't understand human language. They aren't afraid of scolding, but they are afraid of two things. One is fire, and the other is water. You should go home and take a bath, washing off these insects on your body." Zhao Rong Junju thought he was right and hurriedly endured the pain and crawled into the sedan chair. She called out, "Quickly return to the Fu. Return to the Fu." The guards raised their torches and surrounded the palanquin, preventing the bugs and bees from approaching. They escorted Zhao Rong Junju and quickly left. Even though the bees and bugs were afraid of fire, they still chased after Zhao Rong Junju's sedan chair with a buzzing sound. When the commoners saw this strange scene, they were all stunned. What's going on? Why aren't these bugs, bees, and mosquitoes biting us instead of chasing after Her Highness? Yeah, it's really strange. I've lived for decades, but this is the first time I've seen such a strange thing. Say, do you think that Her Highness has contracted some strange disease that attracts bugs and bees? Chapter 1528. This is very possible. I've heard that beautiful fairies have a strange fragrance that attracts butterflies, but this princess is different. I don't know what kind of fragrance she's releasing, but it's attracting mosquitoes and spiders. Interesting, truly interesting. The citizens were all excited as they began to discuss this. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile and said to the stunned Dr. Zhang, "Dr. Zhang, there's nothing interesting to see. Let's go back to the palace." After she said this, she walked into the palace. She went straight to the back courtyard to find Gu Qingze. Because they had agreed to leave for the Godly Physician Valley the next day, Gu Qingze had already prepared his luggage. When he came, he had brought 2 large bags, and when he returned, there were still 2 large bags that were piled high on the table. Master, when did you put the insect luring powder on Zhao Rong's princess? How come I didn't see it? She asked with a smile. Gu Qingze looked at her and his right hand slapped the armrest as he said, I put the powder on the whip. The whip hit her knee, so naturally her body was covered in the powder. Chen Ning couldn't help sighing as she said, Master, your method of poisoning is really impossible to defend against. Even if it was me, I'm afraid I would fall for it. In the future, this disciple will not dare offend Master. Gu Qingze looked at her and said, You don't dare offend me. What did you come to find me for? His sharp eyes looked right at Chen Ning, as if he could see through her thoughts. It made her heart feel weak and she couldn't say what she was here for. Her eyes turned and she changed the topic, Master, Xiaorong Junju has suffered such a great loss today. I'm afraid she won't dare to bother Master anymore. As for me, I won't have another Junju as Master's wife for no reason. As soon as her voice fell, she suddenly felt a pain on the back of her hand. With a schwa sound, a black rope silently flew out, hitting the back of her hand, and then swiftly retracted. If you dare speak nonsense again, your master won't let it go like this. Gu Qingze fiercely glared at her. She rubbed the back of her hand and took a breath through her teeth. Yes, I definitely won't say it again. But Master, your insect luring powder was really good, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Not only did you make Xiao Rong lose face in front of the people of the capital, you also made Duke Ning never ask Master for her hand in marriage again. Humph. Gu Qingze rolled his eyes at her, isn't it all because of you? Chen Ning's heart felt warm. Thinking of the reason she came to find him, she couldn't help feeling guilty. She lowered her head and did not say anything. Gu Qingze did all of this to help prevent her anger. He was such a good master, yet she wanted to say that she didn't want to follow him to the Miracle Physician Valley to learn medicine. How could she open her mouth? But thinking of Imo Chuan, thinking of the war between West Chu and South Yu, her wavering heart became firm again. Master, She bit her lips, and under Gu Qingze's clear gaze, she really didn't know what to say. You've always been eloquent. Why are you hemming and hawing today? If you have something to say, then say it. Gu Qingze said coldly. She was agitated by him and couldn't help but blurt out, Master, I can't go with you to Miracle Physician Valley tomorrow. Chapter 1529. It was like Gu Qingze had already guessed it. His face did not reveal any strange expressions as he indifferently looked at her. What happened? He asked. Seeing that Gu Qingze did not explode with rage, Chen Ning couldn't help letting out a sigh of relief. What she was worried about the most was that Gu Qingze would not care about the situation and scold her to her face. She took a breath and told him about Chu Xiaoyang escaping from prison, stealing the 5 linked crossbow blueprints, and possibly defecting to South Yu. After saying this, she said, if it really is as Imo Chuan predicted, then before long, West Chu and South Yu will have a big battle. At this time, as the West Chu Empress, I can't just focus on my own safety and ignore the entire country. Master, you understand me, right? Gu Qingze calmly looked at her and declined to comment. He only said one sentence, this Chu Xiaoyang, is he your original husband? His love turned into hate, and because he couldn't obtain you, he took the 5 repeating crossbow blueprints and surrendered to South Yu. He wanted to borrow South Yu's military strength to take back the throne that belonged to him, as well as you. Gu Qingze calmly looked at her. Chen Ning bit her lips and did not reply. If Chu Xiaoyang really betrayed the country because of this, then she really would be the main culprit that Empress Dowager Zhou spoke of. Alright, since it's like this, then you can stay. Gu Qingze said. Chen Ning was pleasantly surprised. Her eyes opened wide as she looked at Gu Qingze. She called out in a voice of disbelief, Master, you agree? Gu Qingze looked at her and said, even if I want to take you with me, even if I take your body, I can't take your heart. What use do I have for a disciple that only has a shell and no heart? If your heart is here, how can you focus on learning medicine with me? It's better if you take care of things here and then come find me in the Miracle Doctor Valley. You owe me this much, don't think I'll let you go. Master, you can be assured, I will definitely do what I promised. If things don't go as Mo Chuan expected and if South Yu doesn't send out their troops, I will definitely go to the Miracle Doctor Valley. Master, are you really going to leave tomorrow? Can't you stay a few more days? She was a little reluctant. After being together for this period of time, she couldn't help feeling attached to this master because he knew so much. Whenever she encountered a problem or danger, he would always have a way to help her. Stay a few more days. Do you think your master only has you as his disciple? I've already left the Miracle Physician Valley for a long time. If I don't return soon, what will happen to those patients? Chen Ning thought of the long line of people waiting outside the valley and she blushed with shame. Then I'll come see you off tomorrow morning. She knew that she could not keep Gu Qingze. She had promised to leave with him, but she went back on her words. However, he was not angry at all. She felt that she was really lucky to have such a good master. Yes. Gu Qingze nodded. With such a big event happening, there must be a lot of things to deal with. You should hurry back to the palace. Be careful on your way back. All right, Master, I'll be leaving first. Wait for me tomorrow. She stood up and said. Chapter 1530. Chen Ning couldn't help letting out a puchief laugh. I understand, Master. She turned around to look at Gu Qingze and her heart felt warm. From his words, she could feel his deep concern for her. Go. Gu Qingze waved his hand and turned around in his chair. His back was facing her, not looking at her again. Chen Ning looked at his thin back and her heart suddenly felt sour for some reason. She bowed down to his back and said in a low voice, Master, I'm leaving. Gu Qingze didn't even turn his head and just gave a sound. She bit her lip and suppressed the reluctance in her heart. She turned around and quickly walked out. Gu Qingze waited until her footsteps could no longer be heard before he slowly turned around. He looked in the direction she left and maintained that posture for a very, very long time. Chen Ning returned to the palace and went straight to the royal study. She knew that Mo Chuan would be in the royal study at this time. As expected, when she arrived at the royal study, she saw Xiao Si in the distance. Greetings to the Empress. Xiao Si had a worried look on his face, but when he saw Chen Ning, his eyes lit up. Empress, it's great that you're here. Quickly go in and see His Majesty. His Majesty has been in the study since the morning court session ended and hasn't come out until now. This servant brought him lunch and refreshments, but His Majesty didn't take a single bite and even chased this servant out. This servant is worried about His Majesty. He works so hard but doesn't eat or drink, how can his body bear it? Is that so? Chen Ning's eyes fell onto the box of food in his hand. What's inside? These are the food and refreshments that the royal kitchen has just sent over, but the emperor has ordered that no one is allowed to disturb him. This servant doesn't dare enter. Xiao Si replied. Give it to me. Chen Ning took the box of food and walked into the royal study. With a gentle push, the door opened. Xiao Si looked at her with a face of worry. He was afraid that the emperor inside would lose his temper and kick the empress out. Luckily, the study was silent. Mo Chuan wasn't angry and just softly said, "Close the door." Xiao Si quickly closed the door and secretly wiped his cold sweat. He was thinking that it was a good thing the empress came over at this time. Only the empress could go in and calm the emperor down. He ordered the guards on the left and right, stand a bit further away. The emperor and the empress don't like being heard by others. The guards immediately replied, yes. Chen Ning entered the royal study and walked in. Opening the door, she saw Mo Chuan's arms on the table. He was staring at a large map on the table with slightly knit brows. Hearing her footsteps, he didn't even look up. Ning, why are you here? Ning, why are you here? Chen Ning said this as she walked over with the box of food. She placed the box of food on the side of the square table and opened the lid. She placed the food and refreshments on the table one by one. The fragrance of food wafted into her nostrils, and she suddenly felt hungry. Only then did she remember that she had not eaten yet. Mo Chuan, although the country is important, your body is more important. If you don't eat your fill, how will you have the energy to think about the country? She walked over to grab Mo Chuan's hand and spoke in a soft voice. Mo Chuan finally looked up from the map and revealed a faint smile to her. Mo Chuan finally looked up from the map and revealed a faint smile to her. Chapter 1531. When Chen Ning saw that he was eating, she would look at the map on the table from time to time. She used her chopsticks to gently tap the back of his hand. Mo Chuan, concentrate on eating. Mo Chuan looked away and placed a dish in her bowl. He said, you're leaving tomorrow, so you won't be able to eat the food in the palace. Eat a bit more. Chen Ning gave an sound. She placed the dish in her mouth and slowly chewed it a few times. Mo Chuan looked at her and couldn't help asking, what, you don't like it? I remember that you really like this dish. She slowly said, I have something to tell you. What is it? Do you want me to send you off tomorrow? Even if you don't say it, I will personally send you off. It's not that. She shook her head. Then what is it? What else do you need? It's not anything. Mo Chuan, do you want me to leave this much? Do you really want me to leave this much? She put down her chopsticks and looked right at him. Mo Chuan was a bit stunned, but then he revealed a loving smile. He rubbed her hair and said with a smile, you can't bear to leave me, right? I promise you, when I'm not so busy, I will definitely go to the Godly Physician Valley to see you. I heard you say that it's like a paradise, so I want to go take a look. I want to spend a few days with you in that paradise that even the gods can't compare to, all right? His voice was low and beautiful and the words he said were very pleasant to listen to. Chen Ning's eyes became hot. She lowered her head and forcefully bit down on the back of his hand. Hey, why are you biting people out of nowhere? Do you think the food made by the royal chef isn't tasty? What do you want to eat? I'll immediately order them to make it. Mo Chuan said with a smile, not feeling angry at all. Chen Ning looked up and saw the bite marks on Mo Chuan's hand. She angrily said, if you lie to me again, I'll bite off a piece of your flesh. Mo Chuan's body trembled, but he revealed a smile as if nothing had happened and said, when have I ever lied to you? The words you said just now, did they come from your heart? Will you go to the Miracle Physician Valley to see me? I think it's clear that you're afraid I'll make trouble for you if I stay in the capital, so you impatiently want to send me away. After I leave, the Empress Dowager can marry another virtuous and dignified girl for you, isn't that right? She deliberately said. Mo Chuan's face sank and he said with a serious expression, Ning, whose rumor did you hear? Is this not true? Even if there is no Princess Xiao Rong, there will be Princess de Rong or the Princess of Northern Qi. Nonsense, you clearly know that you are the only one in my heart. In this life, I will only ever have you as my wife. No matter what princess or princess you are, I won't even look at you. If mother forces me again, I will abdicate and not be the emperor. He tightly gripped her hand and resolutely said. He stared at her with an incomparably serious expression. Ning, could it be that even today, you still doubt my feelings for you? Do you really think that if you leave the capital, I will marry another woman into the palace? Chen Ning's heart was moved. She looked down and said in a low voice, Mo Chuan, I believe you. Since you believe me, why did you say those words just now? She raised her head and looked right into his eyes. Mo Chuan, I'll only ask you one thing. You have to honestly tell me, why are you sending me away? Chapter 1532. How am I putting the blame on you? Did you forget? You clearly told me that day that you were going to leave the capital city to study with your master in the godly physician valley for a year. It's only been a few days and you don't remember. You were afraid that I wouldn't agree, but now that I've agreed, what, you don't want to go anymore? Chen Ning seriously nodded, that's right, I regret it. I don't want to go, I want to stay here and be with you. Mo Chuan was slightly shocked. Then he patted her head and said with a smile, don't speak nonsense. You're leaving tomorrow, how can you regret it just like that? If your master knew, he would be very angry. Let's go, I'll accompany you back to the palace now and see how Xiao Ru's luggage is prepared. If you feel that bringing Xiao Ru alone isn't good enough, you can pick a few palace maids to bring with you. If there's anything else you want to bring, just tell me. Alright, I only want to bring one thing, but I'm afraid you won't agree. As long as you say it, I'll definitely agree. You. She firmly said. What? Mo Chuan was stunned. She clearly said, the one I want to bring away is you. If you don't want to go with me, then I'll stay here and accompany you. Mo Chuan, we've agreed that no matter what difficulties we face, we'll face them together. Why are you in such a rush to send me away when West Chu is in danger? Is it because you don't want me to be in danger? But don't forget, you are the West Chu Emperor and I am the West Chu Empress. How can I leave you and the country at this time and go to the godly physician valley to hide? What face do I have to be the Empress? What face do I have to face the West Chu citizens? Do you think that I, Chen Ning, am a coward who is afraid of death? Mo Chuan couldn't help being stunned. He never thought that she would say this. His heart was filled with all sorts of emotions and he didn't know what to say. He could only forcefully hold her hand and tightly hold it in his palm. After a while, he finally slowly said, Ning, listen to me. This matter isn't as serious as you think. Is it really not serious? If it wasn't serious, you wouldn't be in such a rush to send me away. Mo Chuan, you can hide it from others, but you can't hide it from me. This matter is already very serious, isn't it? That's why you told Xiao Ru to prepare something for me this morning. You want to send me away as soon as possible? Chen Ning did not wait for him to finish before she cut him off. She gritted her teeth and glared at him. She suddenly stood up and walked to the imperial table, pointing at the map on the table. Ning, what is this map? The map was filled with dense circles. Although she couldn't understand it, she knew that these circles were marked by Mo Chuan. Mo Chuan also slowly stood up and walked beside her. Looking at the map, he gave a faint sigh. Alright, I really can't hide anything from your eyes. That's right, this map is the border between West Chu and South Yu. If the South Yu kingdom really wants to send out their troops, then this is the path they must pass through. I'm studying the terrain here. Chapter 1533. Mo Chuan nodded and said, You're right, this is indeed a mountain road and the terrain is very steep, making it very hard to walk. It is indeed not easy to march, but you don't know this, the South Yu country has a kind of horse. This kind of horse is short and not good at running, but it is very durable, so it is not a problem for them to walk on this mountain road. So, I'm sure that if the South Yu country wants to march, they will definitely use this mountain road. So it's like this. Chen Ning studied the map for a while, but it was a pity that her understanding was limited. She couldn't help knitting her brows. Mo Chuan, since you already knew that they would march on this road, you can set up an ambush on the road ahead of time and catch them off guard. She suggested. Mo Chuan stared at the map and pondered in silence. After a while, he shook his head. I'm not familiar with the terrain here, and as far as I know, this isn't the only mountain road here. I've already asked the locals who are familiar with the mountain roads to ask questions, but none of this is important. What I'm most worried about is Chu Xiao Yang. He said word for word. Chu Xiao Yang. Chen Ning looked up at him. Is he that strong? He clearly can't beat you. Mo Chuan said with a serious expression, don't look down on Chu Xiao Yang. In terms of martial arts, he is indeed not my match, but in terms of marching and arranging troops, I am far from being his match. In these 10 years, there hasn't been a day when he hasn't studied military books and arranged troops. Although he doesn't have any battle experience, with his intelligence and the books he has read, he cannot be underestimated. If there really is a battle, other than your father in our West Chu country, I'm afraid no one can compare to him. Chen Ning's face slightly changed and her brows knit even tighter. You're saying that Chu Xiao Yang is this strong, why don't you let my father meet him and see who is stronger? That's not good. Your father is currently guarding the border between West Chu and East Qin. It's a good thing he is here. The East Qin that has been eyeing us for so many years has not invaded our border. If I send him to guard this place and deal with Chu Xiao Yang, I'm afraid East Qin will take advantage of this. At that time, our West Chu will be attacked from all sides and we will suffer a crushing defeat. Mo Chuan shook his head. He had thought of Chen Ning's idea before, but it didn't work. Mo Chuan shook his head. He had thought of Chen Ning's idea before, but it didn't work. After all these years, it can't just be one Shen Fang and one Chu Xiao Yang, right? Chen Ning looked at Mo Chuan in confusion. Of course there are people who can lead troops, but if the person leading the South Vietnamese army really is Chu Xiao Yang, I don't dare use any of these people. Mo Chuan said in deep thought. Why? Think about Chu Xiao Yang's identity and you'll understand. Mo Chuan said in a deep voice. Chu Xiao Qin. Chen Ning thought about it and then realized something. I understand now. You're saying that Chu Xiao Yang is the previous emperor's son and the throne should have belonged to him. All the ministers in the court are the previous emperor's subjects, so you're worried that they will be disloyal. Chapter 1534. When Mo Chuan said this, he couldn't help forcefully slapping the table, looking at the entire court. Only your father Shen Fang is loyal to the country. He only thinks about the West Chu citizens and wants West Chu to become stronger, not like the other officials in the court who only think about how to get promoted. If there was a second general like your father in the court, I wouldn't have to worry this much. Chen Ning didn't understand the matters of the court at all, but she knew that since Mo Chuan said this, he had his reasons. His worries were correct. If the generals sent out were bought by Chu Xiao Yang, the consequences would be unimaginable. Then, what are you prepared to do? Since there are no generals in the court, how about you personally lead the troops? If you personally lead the troops, you will be able to defeat Chu Xiao Yang and make him flee. A light suddenly flashed in her mind and she blurted this out. Mo Chuan looked at her and patted her hair. Although his heart was filled with worry, he still revealed a smile. You really know how to flatter me. How do you know that if I personally lead the troops, Chu Xiao Yang won't be my match? I've already said that his martial arts can't compare to mine, but I can't compare to him in battle. If I really lead the troops, we will lose the first few battles without a doubt. Mo Chuan, we haven't even fought yet, but you're already boosting the morale of others and destroying your own. How could you possibly lose? Your martial arts are this good, so why don't you launch a surprise attack and charge into the enemy's camp, capturing the enemy's general? It doesn't matter if he is Chu Xiao Yang or not, as long as the general is captured, wouldn't the enemy only be able to admit defeat? When Mo Chuan heard her naive words, he couldn't help smiling. Silly girl, do you think leading troops to battle is the same as competing in martial arts? If it was that simple, I would have already infiltrated the East Qin country and assassinated their emperor. Then they would have no leader and we could take advantage of this and rescue the previous emperor. You have to know that there is always someone better out there. You always say that my martial arts are good, but that is because you haven't seen an expert stronger than me. I don't have the face to call myself #1 in the world. He paused and then said, as the emperor, the first thing I have to do is know myself. I have never fought a battle and I haven't read many military books, so if I were to really fight, I would not be Chu Xiaoyang's match. Not to mention that as a general, I have the lives of hundreds of thousands of soldiers in my hands. As long as I make a wrong command, it is equal sending them to their deaths. Our West Chu troops are already weak, so we have to use them where they are and we cannot let them risk their lives. Chen Ning said with a nod, I understand. Mo Chuan, you are a good emperor and a wise ruler. Not only do you love your citizens, you love your soldiers. Mo Chuan couldn't help glaring at her, stop praising me. If you continue to flatter me, I'll make you a general and send you to the front lines. He was just casually saying this to scare her, but who would have thought that Chen Ning's eyes would light up? She clapped her hands and said, all right, I am the West Chu Empress. If you want me to lead troops, I will do my best. Mo Chuan was shocked and scolded, nonsense, do you think that leading troops to battle is child's play? You're not allowed to speak nonsense. Chapter 1535. Mo Chuan nodded, that's right, but although he doesn't have any battle experience, he has been practicing arrays for the past 10 years. He is very ambitious, so he must be very familiar with military tactics. His 10 years of training will not be a waste. If he dares to lead an army here, it means he has full confidence in winning. Even your father, I can't guarantee that he will win against Chu Xiaoyang. Chen Ning curled her lips and said, I'll tell you a story. Tell you a story. Mo Chuan said in a curious voice. He couldn't understand why she would tell him a story at this time, but he still said, all right, you tell it and I'll listen. Chen Ning nodded and said, this story is called Armchair Strategy, it is about a very famous general's son. He was familiar with military books since he was young and when it came to military matters, even his father could not compare to him. Later, the emperor gave him a heavy responsibility and sent him to lead an army of 200,000 to meet the enemy. In the end, he only knew how to use the military books and suffered a crushing defeat. His army of 200,000 was killed by the enemy. So, people who only read military books without any battle experience are not terrifying. Mo Chuan said with a faint smile, your story is very pleasant to listen to, but it is just a story. Chu Xiaoyang is not a fool who only knows how to talk on paper. I have seen the notes he left in the military books and he is indeed very knowledgeable and talented in military affairs. He saw Chen Ning's disapproving face and gently pressed a button on the mechanism. Not long after, Shui Feng appeared in front of the two of them like a gust of wind. Emperor, what orders do you have? He knelt down on one knee to greet him. The things this one wants, have you brought them all? Reporting to the emperor, they have already been brought back. They are outside the palace, but this subordinate did not dare disturb the emperor, so I have been waiting outside. Very good, bring them all in now. Mo Chuan said. Yes, Emperor. Shui Feng's figure flashed and he floated out the door. Mo Chuan, what did you tell him to bring? Chen Ning asked in a curious voice. No rush, you'll know in a bit. Mo Chuan patted her hand and revealed a faint smile to her. Very soon, the door to the imperial study was opened, and a group of guards carried in a few boxes and neatly stacked them on the ground. Is everything here? Mo Chuan asked. Reporting to the emperor, it's all in the boxes. Shui Feng respectfully replied. All right, you can leave. Mo Chuan waved his hand and the guards left. Mo Chuan pointed at the large boxes and said, all the military books Chu Xiaoyang has read for the past 10 years are all here. You only need to take a look to know why I'm so afraid of him. He is indeed a military genius, and if he betrays the South Yu country, the South Yu country will be like a tiger with wings. They already have many soldiers and now they have a Chu Xiaoyang. They are very aggressive and I don't have any generals in my hands. With this, my West Chu will be in danger. Chen Ning said, Mo Chuan, you underestimate yourself too much. You keep saying that there are no generals in the court, but in my opinion, you are a general. You don't think about winning, but you think about losing. You say you don't understand military tactics, but you know that you will lose the first few battles. Losing a battle is not scary, what is rare is losing without panicking. To be able to lose without panicking, that is the talent of a general. It seems like you already have a way to deal with Chu Xiaoyang, right? Chapter 1536. When Mo Chuan heard this, he couldn't help laughing. He shook his head and said, I can't be considered a great general, I'm just making a last-minute effort to read these military books and see what Chu Xiaoyang has learned in the past 10 years. Only then can I know my enemy and perhaps I can find a way to deal with Chu Xiaoyang. Only time is tight and there are so many military books, I'm afraid I'll have to read them all night. You have to leave for the godly Dr. Valley tomorrow morning and it's already late, so go back and sleep. Tomorrow morning, I'll personally send you out of the capital city. He patted Chen Ning's shoulder and stared at her. His eyes couldn't help revealing a look of reluctance to part, but it only flashed for a moment before he quickly covered it up. A war was about to begin. At this time, he could not indulge in his feelings. He had to send her into danger as soon as possible, he could not let her suffer a single bit of harm. Once the war between the two countries began, perhaps he really would have to personally lead the army. There would be no one in the capital city at that time and she would be left here alone, how could he be assured? Chen Ning said with a firm expression, Mo Chuan, I've already said that I won't leave. I want to stay with you. Nonsense, you can't. He rejected her without even thinking about it. I'm not nonsense and there's nothing you can't do. I was the one who said I wanted to leave and now I'm the one who said I want to stay. If you chase me away again, I'll really leave and I won't come back. Mo Chuan, think clearly. Do you really want me to leave you? Are you really willing to let me leave you? She looked right into his eyes with a serious expression on her face. Mo Chuan could see that she was not joking. She was absolutely serious and she would do what she said. How could he be willing to let her leave? How could he really let her leave? The so-called letting her leave was just to protect her from any harm. If she really left and didn't come back, then what was the point of doing all of this? Chen Ning noticed that his eyes slowly changed. From the initial resistance, it softened, and then it became gentle. Silly girl, you know that I'm unwilling. In this world, the person I'm most unwilling to part with is you. Mo Chuan said in a low but firm voice. When his voice fell, his lips fell onto hers. He pulled her into his embrace and gently kissed her. She closed her eyes and hot tears were about to flow out. Although she couldn't see his expression, through his lingering and delicate kiss, she could feel a kind of tenderness from being held in the palm of his hand, which made her heart sour. In this world, there was no one who treated her better than Mo Chuan. In this world, there was only one Mo Chuan. Alright, since you've decided to stay, then stay. But how are you going to explain this to your master? Mo Chuan, Mo Chuan said. Mo Chuan, Mo Chuan's eyes, Mo Chuan's t say. She calmed herself down and said, I promised Master that I would go to Miracle Physician Valley in 3 months' time. He agreed. Mo Chuan nodded, then tomorrow morning, I'll send him off with you. You really want to send him off? Chen Ning's eyes opened wide. Chapter 1537. Before he could finish, Chen Ning cut in, "My master doesn't want any gifts." Mo Chuan nodded and said, "That's right, I know that your master is carefree and unrestrained. He doesn't care about worldly possessions at all. If I gave him an official position or gold or silver, he would look down on me. However, I really don't know what he wants or what he likes. Now that you're staying by my side and not going with him to the Miracle Physician Valley, I feel even more guilty. After thinking about it, I can only personally send him off to express my sincere gratitude. I also want to tell him that if he has any requests in the future, as long as he asks, I will definitely do it for him." Chen Ning said with a faint smile, "You are the son of heaven, you have to keep your word. When the time comes, you can't go back on your word." "Of course I won't go back on my word." "You little girl, does your heart favor your husband or your master?" Mo Chuan looked at her with a threatening gaze. Chen Ning giggled and said, "You two are equally important in my heart." Mo Chuan's face sunk and he gave a heavy snort. She stuck out her tongue and said with a smile, "You really don't understand." "Of course I understand. If his position in your heart surpasses mine, then you should leave with him tomorrow and not stay by my side." "How could I not understand?" "All right, it's getting late, I still want to read some military books. Go back to the palace and rest first, I'll have Jue Feng send you back." Mo Chuan patted her head and prepared to summon Jue Feng. Chen Ning asked, "Mo Chuan, you didn't sleep last night, are you still not going to sleep? How can you endure like this?" She looked at him with a pained and worried expression. Mo Chuan shook his head and said, "I can't sleep and I don't want to sleep. Thinking about how Chu Xiaoyang is 10 years ahead of me and I only have a few short days, I really wish I could split every moment in half. Even if it's like this, I'm afraid I won't be able to read many of these large boxes of military books." He walked in front of the boxes and casually opened one of them. He saw that the books inside were all neatly stacked. There were at least several dozen books in this box, and with these large boxes, there were probably several hundred military books. If he wanted to read them all in just a few days, that was an impossible matter. Mo Chuan had already made his decision. He wouldn't sleep for the next few days and he would use all the time he had to read these military books, reading as much as he could. As long as Chu Xiaoyang delayed sending the troops by a day, he would have one more day to read. He called Jue Feng over, "Escort the Empress back to the palace." He called Jue Feng, "Escort the Empress back to the palace." Chen Ning shook her head, "I'm not going back to the palace. Mo Chuan, I want to stay here with you. I'm very interested in these military books and want to read them." She did not wait for Mo Chuan to speak before picking up the military book at the top and flipping through it. After turning over a few pages, she put down the book, picked up a second, and began to read. After reading a few pages of the second military book, she put it down and switched to another one. Chapter 1538. Chen Ning casually flipped through a few military books. After reading a few pages, she had a rough idea in her heart. These military books were mostly the same. Most of them described a few battles, focusing on actual combat and not much on theory. She pondered for a bit before looking up at Mo Chuan with a smile and said, "Just read your book and don't worry about me. I'll find something to pass the time, and when I'm tired, I'll go rest. Jue Feng, you can leave." Jue Feng looked at Mo Chuan, waiting for his order. Mo Chuan waved his hand and said, "You can leave." Jue Feng finally left the room. "All right, you can do whatever you want, but you're not allowed to disturb my reading. Otherwise, I'll immediately send Jue Feng to send you back to the palace. Relax, just concentrate on reading your military book. I promise I won't disturb you." Chen Ning smiled and placed a military book in Mo Chuan's hands. She lit a candle and then quietly sat on the side, not making a single sound. Mo Chuan gave her a smile of praise before focusing his mind. He flipped open the military book and began to concentrate on reading it. This military book was filled with wonderful battles and he quickly became engrossed, not knowing how fast time passed. Unknowingly, he flipped to the last page, but he was still not satisfied. Closing his eyes, he began to silently think about the contents of the military book. After a while, he seemed to have understood something and opened his eyes. He picked up the second military book and was prepared to flip through it, but he suddenly thought of Chin Ning on the side. When he looked up, he found that she was sitting in front of the desk, writing. This girl, it's rare for her to be so diligent today, knowing how to write. This is good, it'll give her something to do, so she won't be so bored. Mo Chuan looked at her with a faint smile. He did not disturb her and continued to read the military book. He read 3 military books in one go and remembered the contents of 7 battles, but he felt that there were some things missing, like logic, strategies. Mo Chuan, you should read this first. He was prepared to reach out for another military book when a gentle voice suddenly rang out. At the same time, a new military book was placed in front of him. What kind of military book is this? He curiously looked at it and saw 4 large words written on the cover, Sun Tzu's Art of War. The handwriting was elegant and the ink had not even dried yet. The page was pure white, so it was clear that it had just been written. Sun Tzu's Art of War. He looked up at Chin Ning in surprise. Did you write this? How come I've never heard of this military book before? Chin Ning said with a smile, I wrote it from memory. It wasn't me who wrote it. The person who wrote this book is called Sun Wu. He is a very powerful strategist. Tzu. Which country is he from? Which dynasty? Why have I never heard of it before? Mo Chuan thought about it for a while, but he couldn't think of any powerful military strategist with this name. Chen Ning vaguely said, I don't remember which country he came from, but I don't know when he read this book, so I wrote it down. I just feel that this military book is different from the books I just read, so you can take a look. If it's not good, then you don't need to read it. Chen Ning vaguely said, I don't know. She was afraid that Mo Chuan would continue asking, so she quickly pushed it away. Mo Chuan was skeptical, but he casually flipped to the first page. Looking at the first line, his eyes were instantly attracted. He stared right at the book, not even willing to blink. Chapter 1539. His eyes lit up and he couldn't help reading it aloud. He hungrily read it, going from the first chapter to the 13th chapter, strategy chapter. The more he read, the more he felt this book was deep and profound. The principles it described were easy to understand, but what made him the happiest was that there were many military strategies and tactics that had never been recorded in other books. For example, the 3rd chapter, strategy chapter, talked about using intelligence to attack a city. The 6th chapter, reality chapter, talked about how to surround the enemy and create a situation where we are stronger, using numbers to win. The 9th chapter, marching chapter, talked about how to set up camp in the palace and observe the enemy situation. The 13th chapter, strategy chapter, talked about how to use spies to defeat the enemy. Good book, it really is a good book. This is the kind of military book I really want to see. Mo Chuan couldn't help praising it. He quickly read it the first time and felt that it was full of aftertaste. He only understood 10% of the principles, so he couldn't help starting from the first page again. When he read it for the second time, he gained a deeper understanding of it. War is a path of deception. Well said. He couldn't help but praise it. Chen Ning saw his loving appearance and revealed a faint smile. She didn't disturb his reading and sat on the side, continuing to silently write. Mo Chuan flipped through the Art of War 3 times, but he was still not satisfied. He felt that he had learned too little and that there were still many subtle things in this book that he hadn't comprehended yet. With this Art of War, it doesn't matter if you don't read the other military books. In my opinion, this book is the best of all the military books, there is no one better than it. He held The Art of War and prepared to read it a fourth time. Chen Ning gave a soft laugh and said, "You're praising this book too much. It is indeed a good book, but I have another military book here that is not inferior to Art of War." Really? Mo Chuan's eyes lit up and then he shook his head with a face of doubt. "I don't believe there is a better military book in this world." Chen Ning said with a smile, "Take a look first." She placed the book she had just finished writing in front of him. 36 Stratagems. Mo Chuan looked at the 4 words on the cover and softly said. Chen Ning said, "There are a total of 36 stratagems in this book. The first 3 stratagems are winning stratagems, fighting the enemy stratagems, and attacking stratagems. They are stratagems used when one has the advantage and each stratagem contains 6 small stratagems. The last 3 stratagems are mixed warfare stratagems, combined warfare stratagems, and defeat stratagems used when one is at a disadvantage. Each stratagem also contains 6 small stratagems, so this book is called the 36 Stratagems." Mo Chuan's heart was filled as he listened. His hands slightly trembled as he held the book. He took a deep breath and turned to look. The first stratagem is to cross the sea by deceiving the heavens. If you don't prepare well enough, you'll get tired of it. If you see it often enough, you won't be suspicious. He read on in one breath and was soon attracted by the wonderful contents of the book. Chapter 1540. While Mo Chuan was reading military books in the royal study, in the Duke Ning Palace, there was a large uproar. After Zhao Rong Princess left, Duke Ning sat in the main hall, waiting for someone to report the good news of Zhao Rong Princess being defeated by the ancient divine doctor and being engaged in public. But he waited left and right, waiting until a pot of tea had been brewed over and over again, until it tasted no different from plain water, but he still didn't hear any news from Zhao Rong Junju. "Someone, quickly go to Dr. Zhang and see what happened to the princess." He couldn't hold it in any longer and sent people to investigate. But before he could even leave the mansion, he heard a flurry of hurried and panicked footsteps coming towards him. This is bad, the princess is back." The housekeeper's voice came from outside the main hall. Following that, he stumbled into the main hall. Duke Ning was filled with rage. He raised his hand and with a paw sound, he slapped the housekeeper's face. He angrily shouted, "Bastard, you're becoming more and more speechless. It's good that the princess is back, how is it bad?" The housekeeper covered his face and took in a breath of pain. He reported with a sobbing tone, "Sir Duke, quickly come out and take a look. Our princess has been injured by someone. That appearance. It's really too horrible to look at." "What?" Hearing this, Duke Ning almost fell off his chair. He didn't care about his demeanor and ran out, running to the palace gates in one breath. Zhao Rong Princess palanquin was parked there. Duke Ning charged over and opened the curtain, calling out to the person in the palanquin, "Zhao Rong." His voice came to an abrupt halt, and his eyes widened in disbelief as he stared at the person in front of him. No matter what, he couldn't believe that the person in front of him was the precious pearl in his palm. "You! Where did a beggar like you come from, daring to sit in my son Zhao Rong's palanquin? Quickly scram out for this duke!" He angrily shouted. God, he had never seen a more disgusting beggar in his life than the one in front of him. His clothes were tattered, dirty and smelly, and his body was crawling with mice, flies, mosquitoes, and bedbugs. Especially his face, it was bumpy and red and swollen. If he took another look at it, he would almost vomit. It really was too ugly, too disgusting. Zhao Rong Princess couldn't help crying out. She sobbed as she said, "Father, your daughter is Zhao Rong." She cried as she threw herself into Duke Ning's embrace. Duke Ning's body trembled and he dodged her without even thinking. His sleeve covered his nose and mouth as he revealed a look of disgust. Someone, quickly drag this beggar away for this duke and beat him to death. What an audacious beggar. How dare you sit in the princess sedan chair and pretend to be the princess? You deserve to die 10,000 times for your crime. He shouted in a stern voice. The guards around him knelt down and said, "Hi Duke, she's not a beggar, she's the countess. Ning. Zhao Rong. This beggar is Rong." Duke Ning's eyes widened in shock. No matter how he looked at it, this beggar in front of him didn't have anything to do with Zhao Rong. "It's really the princess, Lord High Duke," the guards said in unison. Chapter 1541. As Zhao Rong Junju cried, she desperately waved her sleeves to chase away the insects that were still flying towards her. Even though the guards kept on using torches to help her chase them away, these insects seemed to not care for their lives. They came one after the other as if they had a deep grudge against her and wouldn't rest until she was dead. You really are Zhao Rong. Heavens, how did you become like this?" Duke Ning finally recognized his daughter's voice. His hands trembled. Ignoring the disgusting things crawling all over his daughter's body, he hugged Zhao Rong. 2 streams of tears flowed down his face. "Quick! You damned idiots, why haven't you called for a doctor yet? Quick! Someone come! Quickly send the Junju back to the Fu. Also, you have to think of a way to kill all these things on the Junju's body. Quick! Quick!" Duke Ning sent people to send the battered and exhausted Zhao Rong Junju into her room. The people in the Fu quickly prepared hot water for Zhao Rong Junju to bathe. While Zhao Rong Junju was bathing, the mosquitoes were still flying towards Zhao Rong Junju's room. The servant girls were so scared that they tightly closed the doors and windows, not leaving a single crack. After Zhao Rong Junju had bathed 7 or 8 times, the smell of the luring powder on her body was completely washed away. The mosquitoes and bees couldn't smell it and flew around like headless flies before scattering. The servant girls finally let out a sigh of relief and helped Zhao Rong Junju out of the bathtub. But Zhao Rong Junju's entire body was covered in blisters of all sizes. There were bee stings, mosquito bites, and even bed bugs. The pain and itchiness were unbearable. She was in so much pain that she cried for her parents. The doctor quickly rushed over. When he saw Zhao Rong Junju's appearance, he jumped in fright. He took Zhao Rong Junju's pulse and wrote a prescription. He also took out a tube of ointment and gave it to Duke Ning. "Duke Ning, this is a tube of cool peppermint ointment. It can temporarily relieve the Junju's pain and itchiness. But the poison that has accumulated in the Junju's body needs to be slowly removed by drinking medicine." "Poison? What poison has Zhao Rong been poisoned with?" Duke Ning's eyes sharpened. The doctor quickly said, "Because the Junju has been stung many times by bees, some bee poison has accumulated in her body. She is not poisoned. As long as she takes medicine according to the prescription, she will be fine." Duke Ning nodded. He sent people to send away the doctor and had the servant girls apply medicine for Zhao Rong. He walked out of the room. The more he thought about this matter, the more he felt it was strange. Zhao Rong had gone to compete with Gu Qingze without rhyme or reason, so how did she end up like this? It was as if she had a grudge with those bugs in her past life, and those bugs had come together to seek revenge. "Men, bring the guards who followed the princess to the martial arts competition here. I want to interrogate them personally." Duke sat in the hall as and the guards. The Duke sat the other guards. The guards. "All of you, tell me everything that happened today in full detail. Don't leave out a single word." He slammed the table with force and shouted sternly. The guards were so frightened that they were as quiet as cicadas in winter. Their bodies were shaking, but they still gathered their courage and told the story of how Zhao Rong Junju had challenged Gu Qingze to a duel. Actually, the process of the martial arts competition was very simple. Gu Qingze made a move and broke Zhao Rong Region Princess' whip. In the blink of an eye, Zhao Rong Region Princess knelt in front of Gu Qingze. After listening to the guard's report, Duke Ning felt even more puzzled. Chapter 1543. Duke Ning's heart turned cold as he said in a deep voice, "Speak clearly. Who harmed you? Did you see it clearly?" The Zhao Rong princess said in a hateful voice, "If it's not that little slut, then it's that surnamed Gu. They must have done something to your daughter that attracted all these dirty things. Woo, father, if you don't kill them, your daughter will die in front of you." Duke Ning said, "Think about it carefully. Did the divine Dr. Gu come near you at the time? The divine Dr. Gu would not do something like this. If he wanted to harm you, why would he save you?" He still did not believe that Gu Qingze would harm his daughter. Especially after he used Gu Qingze's medicine, he felt that the illness on his body had lessened a bit. His heart was filled with gratitude towards Gu Qingze. Zhao Rong Junju bit her lip. "I remember now. That little B***tch really did get close to me. She even pretended to be friendly and helped me brush off the dust on my dress. At the time, I thought, how could that little B***tch be so kind? Who would have thought that she really did put poison on me at that time, and that's why so many filthy things have come." She hated Qin Ning to the bone in her heart. These words that came out of nothing seemed to be true, even she herself almost believed it. Duke Ning's face turned serious as he asked again, "Did she really wipe away the dust for you?" "It's completely true, your daughter would not wrongly accuse others." "Father, that little slut harmed your daughter like this, your daughter will not live under the same sky as her. Zhao Rong, you just need to properly recover. You don't need to worry about anything else, but father will not forgive anyone that hurts you." Duke Ning patted his daughter's back as a cold glow appeared in his eyes, making him look very sharp. The Zhao Rong princess was filled with pride. "Father, how do you plan on dealing with her? Quickly tell your daughter. This matter cannot be rushed. Moreover, she is the Empress, so father needs to think about it carefully. If we are going to do it, we need to do it flawlessly, without a single flaw. Father is still lacking a strong martial artist to help me. Zhao Rong, you've gone out to study for 3 years, do you have a good relationship with a strong martial artist?" Duke Ning thought about it for a bit before speaking to his daughter. The Zhao Rong princess thought about it. "My senior apprentice brother's martial arts are not normal, master always praises him, saying that he is the best disciple in the sect. Moreover, he has always been very good to me, always taking the chance to talk to me and flatter your daughter. Although his martial arts are good, he is still lacking compared to my royal cousin, so your daughter is too lazy to bother with him." Duke Ning was an experienced person, he could guess from his daughter's expression and tone. Duke Ning was an experienced person, he could guess from his daughter's expression and tone. Zhao Rong Junju's mouth twitched and she disdainfully said, "He's not as good looking as Cousin Emperor, and his martial arts aren't as good as Cousin Emperor's either. Unless I'm blind, I wouldn't like him. He doesn't even look at himself in the mirror. How could he be worthy of me?" "Humph." Duke Ning glared at her and said, "Immediately write a letter and send it to your eldest senior apprentice brother. Invite him to the capital as a guest in our manor." "Father, what? You want to invite my eldest senior brother as a guest? You aren't thinking of marrying your daughter to him, right?" "I won't marry. Other than my royal cousin, I won't marry anyone." The Zhao Rong princess shook her head like a rattled drum with a determined expression. Chapter 1544. "Then why did you invite my senior apprentice brother to our palace for no reason? What kind of thing is he? how could he be worthy of taking half a step into our palace? Zhao Rong Princess' face was filled with contempt. It could be seen that this senior apprentice brother did not have any weight in her heart at all. Duke Ning patted her shoulder and said with a faint smile, his identity is not important, and it is also not important whether he is worthy of you or not. However, if you want revenge, your eldest brother is a very suitable candidate. You just need to summon him, and I will make arrangements for the rest. I will definitely let you get what you want. Hearing this, the Zhao Rong princess was pleasantly surprised. She pulled on Duke Ning's sleeve and looked up as she shouted, "Father, have you thought of a plan? You quickly tell your daughter. I can't say this plan right now. When father sees your senior apprentice brother, I will know if this plan will work or not." Duke Ning revealed a sinister smile. The Zhao Rong princess impatiently got off the bed. "All right, your daughter will immediately write a letter to senior apprentice brother. As long as he receives my letter, senior apprentice brother will immediately rush over." She was very confident, because in this world, other than her cousin the emperor, there was no other man who did not immediately fall at her feet when they saw her. In these 3 years of studying martial arts, which man in the sect wouldn't fall head over heels for her? A trivial senior apprentice brother naturally wouldn't enter her eyes. The royal study. That night, Mo Chuan did not even close his eyes. He read Chen Ning's 36 Strategies and Sun Tzu's Art of War over and over again, not wanting to put them down. Every time he read them, he would feel enlightened. It wasn't until the sky brightened that he put down the book reluctantly. Turning his head, he saw Chen Ning lying on the table, already in a deep sleep. Seeing her sleeping so sweetly, he didn't have the heart to wake her up, but today was the day to send off Gu Qingze. If he missed it, she would feel guilty for a long time, so he hardened his heart and gently pushed her shoulder. "Ning, it's almost dawn. Wake up." Chen Ning opened her eyes in a daze. "It's almost dawn. So soon." She rubbed her eyes and looked out the window. She saw that the light of dawn had already dyed the window paper white. She instantly jumped up and shouted, It really is dawn. Mo Chuan, why didn't you wake me up earlier? It's not too late to wake you up now. The city gates haven't opened yet, so your master can't leave." Mo Chuan put down the book and lovingly stroked her hair. "Mo Chuan, do you really want to come with me to send master off? Aren't you going to morning court?" She blinked. Mo Chuan was stunned. After thinking about it, he said, "You go first, I'll be there as soon as the court is over." "It's perfect, you two master and disciple might have something to talk about. If I'm not present, your master will be more at ease." He had a faint feeling that Gu Qingze had some hostility towards him, but he didn't care at all. "Master, was that of Gu Gu? I can him She stood up with a smile and tidied up her dress. Then, she picked up a book that she had written down from memory last night and held it in her arms. Mo, could it be a military strategy book? Mo Chuan looked over in curiosity. Chapter 1545. In the past, I deliberately kept him in suspense and never wrote this book down for him. Now, this can be considered my parting gift to him. Only compared to the deep kindness my master has shown me, this gift is just too small." She gave a faint sigh. Mo Chuan comforted her, "Silly girl, your master treats you well and doesn't ask for any repayment from you. As long as you learn medicine and bring glory to his title as the #1 divine doctor in the world, don't lose his face. This is the best repayment to him." Chen Ning couldn't help smiling as she said, "I never thought that you would be my master's friend." "That's right, my master also said the same thing." Mo Chuan said with a faint smile, "I'll have Xue Feng escort you. Has Xue Feng's injuries healed?" He has just suffered such a serious injury, let him rest in the palace. His injuries are no longer a problem. The reason he was able to recover so quickly is all thanks to the elixir your master gave him. A person who receives kindness from others should be repaid with gushes of spring water. I believe he also wants to personally thank your master. Mo Chuan called Zhui Feng over and had him escort Chen Ning to send Gu Qingze off. As expected, Zhui Feng happily accepted the order. Chen Ning packed up and brought the medical book to Dr. Zhang's palace. It was only around 8 or 9 in the morning right now. She entered the palace and went straight to the back courtyard. She saw that Gu Qingze's room was tightly closed and she couldn't help smiling at Zhui Feng. My master is becoming lazier and lazier, he still hasn't gotten up at this time. Let's wait for him here and not wake him up. Zhui Feng nodded and stood behind Chen Ning. He looked at the room with a look of gratitude in his eyes. Zhui Feng, are your injuries healed? Chen Ning asked in a concerned voice. Reporting to the Empress, it's fine. It's all thanks to the elixir the divine doctor gave me. This subordinate is filled with gratitude towards the divine Dr. Gu. Zhui Feng replied in a simple manner. Chen Ning said with a smile, it won't be too late to thank my master after you see him. Zhui Feng hesitated a bit, wanting to say something. What do you want to say? Empress, this subordinate has a request that I would like to ask the Empress to agree to. Zhui Feng suddenly bowed to her. Chen Ning's eyes sparkled and she guessed, you want to send my master off, right? That's right. Zhui Feng replied in a deep voice. Good, it's rare for you to have such intentions, so I will naturally agree. I was originally worried about my master's safety along the way, so it's great that you volunteered. She nodded with a smile. The two of them waited in the courtyard. They waited from sunrise all the way until the sun was over their heads, but they still didn't see Gu Qingze get up and open the door. Chen Ning looked up at the sun above her head and said in a doubtful voice, why hasn't my master woken up yet? Did something happen to him? Zhui Feng was also worried. He held his breath and listened to the sounds in the room. After a while, he suddenly said, Empress, there doesn't seem to be anyone in the room. No one. Gu. Chen Ning's heart jumped into her throat. She didn't care if she would wake Gu Qingze up as she slammed the door and shouted, Master, Master. The door was locked from the inside and she couldn't open it. She called out several times, but the room was still silent. She bit her lips. Zhui Feng, open the door and take a look. I'm worried that something has happened to Master. Chapter 1546. Zhui Feng took a step forward and placed his right palm on the door. With a bit of internal energy, the latch on the inside broke. Opening the door and seeing the scene in the room, Chen Ning and Zhui Feng were both stunned. They originally thought that Gu Qingze must have gotten into an accident, but all the furnishings in the room were fine, spotless, and not a single speck of dust could be seen. The bedding on the bed was neatly folded, but Gu Qingze was missing. This is bad. Something must have happened to the divine Dr. Gu. This subordinate will immediately go investigate. Zhui Feng's first reaction was to charge out the door. No need, Zhui Feng, there's no need to go. My master is fine. Chen Ning gave a faint sigh and her eyes fell onto a letter on the table. She walked over and opened it, only to see 2 words written on it, take care. It was Gu Qingze's handwriting. She stared at those 2 words in a daze. Her heart was sour, warm, and sweet, but she couldn't say anything for a while. Empress, you said that the divine doctor is fine. Zhui Feng asked in a suspicious voice. His eyes swept over and seeing the letter in her hand, he was instantly enlightened. So the divine doctor has already left. Chen Ning slowly nodded and her expression was filled with an indescribable melancholy. That's right, my master has left, he actually left without saying goodbye. I said I would send him off, but he didn't wait for me before leaving. He must be angry with me, so he doesn't want to see me. She bit her lips and her throat felt choked up, not being able to continue. Tears began to fall from her eyes and her heart was filled with an indescribable sadness. Shui Feng also had a look of disappointment on his face. Seeing Chen Ning's sad appearance, his heart was not any better than hers. He had received a great favor from the divine doctor, but he did not have time to repay him. His benefactor had left just like this, not even being able to fulfill his wish of sending her off. Empress, although the divine doctor has left, he shouldn't have gone too far. This subordinate will definitely be able to catch up to him. Chase. Chen Ning raised her head and looked around the empty room. She shook her head, there's no need to chase after him. My master left early in the morning just to avoid me. Since he doesn't want to see me, what can I do even if I chase after him? I'm afraid I'll only make him angry. Shui Feng hesitated before saying, if the divine Dr. Gu is angry with the Empress, this subordinate has not offended him. This subordinate wants the Empress to allow this subordinate to send him off. You're going. Chen Ning's eyes lit up and she nodded slightly, not bad. With your skills, you will definitely be able to catch up to my master very quickly. Alright, since that's the case, help me send my master off. Bring this along too and help me pass it to my master. Remember to tell him that once I'm done with my matters, I'll go to the Miracle Physician Valley to look for him. She placed the medical book in Shui Feng's hands. Shui Feng solemnly put it away and said, this subordinate will go. He flew up and landed on the roof. With a few leaps, his figure disappeared. Chen Ning stood in the yard and watched as Shui Feng disappeared in front of her. Thinking of Gu Qingze leaving like this, her heart was filled with melancholy. Empress! Empress! She turned around and saw Dr. Zhang walking into the yard. He was holding a bag in his hand as he respectfully bowed to her. Chapter 1547. Ah! Divine Dr. Gu, he left. Dr. Zhang was shocked as he quickly looked at the room Gu Qingze was in. He saw that the door was wide open and there was no one inside. His mouth fell open as he revealed a look of shock. Chen Ning gave a faint sigh and said, so Dr. Zhang didn't know that my master had left. I came here early in the morning, but he had already left and I didn't even have time to send him off. Dr. Zhang was stunned for a while before coming back to his senses. He had a look of disappointment on his face. It's all this minister's fault. I didn't receive you well and offended the divine Dr. Gu, so he left without saying goodbye. I hope the Empress can forgive him. Dr. Zhang, this matter has nothing to do with you, so what crime have you committed? My master, he's just not willing to see me. Chen Ning said in a low voice. Thinking of how she had promised Gu Qingze to go to the Godly Physician Valley with him, but she had gone back on her word at the last moment, it was no wonder he was angry. If it was her, she would also be very unhappy. Dr. Zhang shook his head and had a look of disapproval. What is the Empress saying? How could the divine Dr. Gu not be willing to see the Empress? You are his beloved disciple. This minister really envies the Empress for being able to have the old divine Dr. Gu as a master. Especially the love he has for the Empress, this minister is very touched. He gave the bag in his hand to Chen Ning with both hands. The divine Dr. Gu came to this old minister last night and told this old minister to give the things in this bag to the Empress. He also told this old minister to pay attention to the Empress body. This old minister has seen all of this and the divine Dr. Gu is not angry at the Empress or against the Empress care. Chen Ning looked at the bag and said in a surprised voice, my master had someone give this to me. That's right. Chen Ning took it and looked at the coarse linen bag. It was made of the same material as the robes Gu Qingze usually wore. Her heart suddenly skipped a beat and she said in a soft voice, so my master came to find you last night and he had you leave something for me. She gently opened the bag and saw that there were 2 handwritten books inside. The paper was brand new and the ink was fresh. It was clear that it had been written not long ago, and she couldn't help giving an sound. One of the books had Internal Classics written on it and the other book had Pulse Classics written on it. After Dr. Zhang saw it, his eyes lit up with envy and he said with a sigh, "The divine Dr. Gu is truly attentive to the Empress," leaving 2 medical books for the Empress before he left. These 2 books must have been written by the divine Dr. Gu's life. If this old minister could read them, I would be willing to die. Chen Ning held the medical book in her hand and flipped it open. She saw that each page was filled with neat handwriting, with the content being the most basic knowledge of Chinese medicine. The Meridian Manual was the easiest to understand, but it was written in detail. There were also many medical examples as evidence. Yang Chen Dr. Ming. He Yun Chen, of Zhang, Chen, Yang, Dr. Yun, Yang, was, Shen, Yang, Yang, Chen, Wang, of Yang, of Wang, Yang, Yang, and was, Yang, of Yang, he Chen, of Gu, Gu, of Long of Gu of Yi, he, Dr. He. Dr. Zhang was filled with joy. When he took the medical book, his hands slightly trembled as he was incomparably excited. With a pious heart, he slowly opened the first page of the Pulse Classic. However, after reading a few lines, he couldn't help but be stunned. Chapter 1548. Dr. Zhang was a bit disappointed. He never thought that the contents of Gu Qing's medical book would be this normal. He had learned this knowledge of meridians when he was 7 or 8 years old, but after looking at it a few more times, his eyes lit up and he couldn't help reading it again. Empress, the ancient divine doctor's knowledge is truly as deep as the sea. This old minister has received pointers from the Mongolian divine doctor and has benefited quite a bit. Although the principles written in this book are simple, the ancient divine doctor is very meticulous, being able to find his own ideas from the small details. Just this Pulse Classic can be said to be the most suitable medical book in the world. Even if this old minister is reading it now, I can still learn quite a bit from it. He closed the medical book and respectfully handed it back to Chen Ning with both hands. Chen Ning received it and stroked the smooth pages. Smelling the faint fragrance of the ink, she secretly vowed that she would thoroughly study these 2 books and build a good foundation for her medical skills. Only then would she live up to her master's hopes and efforts. She held the 2 medical books that Gu Qingze left for her and went back to the palace. She saw Mo Chuan and told him about Gu Qingze leaving without saying goodbye. She also told him that Zhui Feng had chased after Gu Qingze and was secretly protecting him, so it would be a few days before he could return to the palace. Mo Chuan nodded and took the medical books from her hands to look at them. He saw that the words were very clear and it was clear that these 2 books were written by Gu Qingze overnight. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Ning, your master is truly considerate of you. After this battle is over, I will personally send you to the godly Dr. Valley. Chen Ning said with a faint smile, you finally know how good my master is. Mo Chuan couldn't help snorting and pretending to be angry as he said, when did I say that he was bad? Chen Ning smiled. She remembered that when she first became Gu Qingze's disciple, Mo Chuan had been jealous of Gu Qingze. Of course she was smart enough not to mention it at this time. Mo Chuan, you haven't slept all night and your eyes are completely red. Even if you want to study military books, you don't need to be in a rush. If you tire your body and Chu Xiaoyang really leads an army to attack, how will you face the enemy? Mo Chuan's face turned serious as he said, these 2 military books you wrote have greatly benefited me. Reading this book is better than reading 100 books Chu Xiaoyang has read. If I have more time, my chances of winning will be even higher. I have already sent people to the South Yu border and have increased the number of troops in the Southern Pass and Shuanglu cities, just in case Chu Xiaoyang suddenly attacks. Southern Pass and Shuanglu. That's right. Look, this is the border between our West Chu and South Yu. Chapter 1549. Chen Ning thought about it and said, since these two cities are this important, have you sent any generals? Mo Chuan shook his head and said, I told you yesterday that I don't have any generals I can use. The generals of these two cities were originally stationed in these cities. Although the South Yu Kingdom has been eyeing our West Chu for 10 years, they have never attacked us. I'm worried that they will slack off, so I've already sent people to remind them to be on guard against a sneak attack from the South Yu Kingdom. Only the capital is from the Southern Pass and Shuanglu Kingdom. Even if they send a report on horseback, it will take 5 days. I don't know if they will make it in time. What? It will take 5 days. Chen Ning couldn't help taking in a cold breath. She pointed at a pass on the map and said, didn't you say last time that Chu Xiaoyang might attack from this mountain road? Would he abandon this road and attack the Southern Pass in Shuanglu Kingdom instead? Mo Chuan said, that's right, if he wants to launch a sneak attack, he can use this road to enter our West Chu territory. Moreover, there are very few people who know about this road. They have horses that are good at crossing mountains, so this road is the most suitable. However, this mountain road has a fatal weakness. Look here. He pointed at a place on the map. Chen Ning looked at it and said, this shape looks like a gourd. That's right, this place is called the gourd's mouth because it is shaped like a gourd. Last time I said that there are several mountain roads that lead to my West Chu's hinterland, but they all lead to the same destination. No matter which mountain road they take, they will eventually pass through this gourd's mouth. As long as I can set up an ambush near the gourd's mouth, I can defeat them. Since Chu Xiaoyang is familiar with military books and the terrain here, he won't make this kind of mistake. Unless he doesn't put me in his eyes at all, he would choose this path. But to be safe, I have already sent people to set up an ambush here. If Chu Xiaoyang doesn't come, then it's fine. But if he really wants to attack me from the gourd's mouth, then I'll make him suffer. His right hand formed a fist and he slammed it on the map, speaking in a powerful voice. Chen Ning couldn't help looking up and looking at Mo Chuan with a strange gaze. Why are you looking at me like this? Mo Chuan was a bit surprised. Mo Chuan, you've only studied military books for a night, but you've already learned this much. I really admire you. Mo Chuan revealed a faint smile and stroked her hair. I've only learned a few things in the military books and there are many strategies in there, but I haven't thought about how to use them yet. I've learned a few things in there. Chuan are the key to opening my West Chu territory. As long as he controls the Southern Pass and Lu, the South Yu can enter and my West Chu will be. He paused before saying, so other than this gourd mouth, the Southern Pass and Shuanglu cities are Chu Xiaoyang's other choices. These two cities are the keys to my West Chu and as long as he occupies the Southern Pass and Shuanglu, the South Yu army will be able to enter and my West Chu will be in danger. In this way, the Southern Pass and Shuanglu cities are of utmost importance, and they can't be lost no matter what, right? Since it's like this, you should send a capable general to defend the city. If the court really doesn't have a general, I'm willing to recommend myself. Chen Ning said after thinking about it. Chapter 1550. Chen Ning had mentioned this to him yesterday, but he had only treated it as a joke and laughed it off. Now that she mentioned it again, he still did not take it to heart. Even if there was no one else he could use in the court, he would not send his wife out to lead troops. Not to mention that not only did she not know martial arts, she did not know how to lead troops at all. Chen Ning seriously looked at him and said, Mo Chuan, I'm not speaking nonsense, I'm being very serious. She was not just casually saying this, rather she had considered it for a long time. Chu Xiaoyang defecting to the enemy was all because of her and this disaster was because of her, so she had the responsibility to solve it. Although she did not know how to lead troops into battle, she would think of a way to convince Chu Xiaoyang to retreat. She could not let Chu Xiaoyang cause a calamity because of her, let the citizens suffer from the chaos of war, let the soldiers break up, and let their blood fall on the battlefield. Alright, you're being very serious. Then I'll also be very serious, you can't do this. Mo Chuan seriously replied. Why can't I? Are you looking down on me because I'm a woman? When did I look down on you because you're a woman? You're smart and have a photographic memory, this intelligence is something that even 10 men cannot compare to. If it wasn't for you bravely stepping forward and solving the problem that East Qin gave to my West Chu, it would be unknown how hard the citizens' lives would be. When mentioning this matter, who wouldn't admire you? But Ning He, leading troops into battle is different from reading tablets on horseback. As a general, not only do you need to read the art of war, you also need to look at the overall situation. If you're the slightest bit careless, the soldiers will fall into an unrecoverable situation. This is not something that can be done just by being smart. After I read these 2 books, I felt that the depth of the art of war is something that I cannot comprehend. Although you've memorized these 2 books, you don't know how to use them, so how can I let you lead troops into battle? You can't mention this matter again. If you say this again, I'll immediately send someone to send you to the Miracle Doctor Valley. Mo Chuan's expression was very serious. He knew that if he said anything, she would take advantage of his soft heart and pester him. At that time, he did not know if he could harden his heart and reject her request. Chen Ning rolled her eyes and pouted as she said, I was just casually saying it, but you treated it so seriously. How could I lead troops into battle? I just wanted to make you smile, but you're being this serious. You really can't take a joke. Mo Chuan finally revealed a faint smile, are you joking? I can see that you're very serious, so you just need to put your heart in your stomach. Even if there is a war, as long as I'm here, even if the sky falls, I'll hold it up. As for this war, although there are no generals in the court, what you said yesterday was correct, I am a general myself. As long as I learn the art of war, why would I fear a Chu Xiaoyang? I've never led troops into battle before, so when Chu Xiaoyang has led troops before. Even if he has experienced South Yu generals by his side to assist him, with his obstinate and self-opinionated personality, he will not listen to the opinions of others. Let's just wait and see. Chen He. Ning. Chen He He He. He 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 He. Chen Ning saw that he had a worried look on his face yesterday, but today he was filled with energy. She knew that he must have learned something from these 2 military books, so she couldn't help revealing a faint smile. That's right. Chapter 1551. Mo Chuan, what's wrong? Chen Ning followed his gaze. Someone's coming. Mo Chuan's hearing was very far, so he had already heard the sound of hurried footsteps coming from the palace. As expected, not long after, he heard a sharp voice from outside the door, with the Empress Dowager's orders, I summon the Emperor to the Peaceful Life Palace. Mother is looking for me. Mo Chuan knit his brows. His first thought was that Empress Dowager Zhou wouldn't be forcing him to marry Zhao Rong again, right? But then he thought of something else. Definitely not. At this moment, Empress Dowager Zhou should already know about Zhao Rong's scandal in the Enchanting Palace, so she definitely wouldn't force him. If it wasn't for Zhao Rong, then it had to be for Chu Xiaoyang. This was another matter that gave him a headache. Once Empress Dowager Zhou knew that Chu Xiaoyang had defected to South Yu with the map and that he would bring troops to attack West Chu, Empress Dowager Zhou would be filled with rage and she would put this black pot on Chen Ning's head. But since Empress Dowager Zhou summoned him, he couldn't hide it. Not to mention that in this palace, there were no walls that didn't have ears. Once Chu Xiaoyang really brought troops here, the entire world would be shocked and this matter would reach Empress Dowager Zhou's ears sooner or later. Rather than letting Empress Dowager Zhou be shocked and angry, it was better for him to report to Empress Dowager Zhou first. This way, Empress Dowager Zhou wouldn't be worried. Ning, wait for me here. I'm going to see mother. Chen Ning nodded and opened the medical book Gu Qingze left behind. With a calm smile, she said, I'll wait here for you to come back. Seeing her calm smile, Mo Chuan's heart became even more confident. He was willing to pay anything to protect her from harm, letting her always have this kind of smile on her face. He followed the eunuch to the Peaceful Life Palace. When he left, he also placed the 2 military books that Chen Ning had written in his sleeves. When he arrived at the Peaceful Life Palace, Empress Dowager Zhou had just sent out dinner. Seeing Mo Chuan enter the palace, Empress Dowager Zhou greeted him with a smile. Emperor, you've come at the right time. This widow has specially ordered the royal kitchen to prepare some of your favorite dishes, so you can eat in this widow's palace. Mo Chuan saw that Empress Dowager Zhou's complexion was good. Her face was rosy and her eyes were filled with energy. He knew that this was all thanks to Gu Qingze's medicine. Good. The food in Mother's palace is excellent. Every time I come to Peaceful Life Palace to eat, I will eat 2 more bowls. He sat down with a smile and said to Empress Dowager Zhou with a faint smile, Has Mother been well these past 2 days? Is there anything wrong? Empress Dowager Zhou personally picked up a dish for him and said with a smile, This widow has been sleeping very well these past 2 days, falling asleep as soon as my head touched the pillow. Does Mother still feel a headache? Mo Chuan asked in a concerned voice. He knew that Empress Dowager Zhou's headache was an old problem. As long as she was in a bad mood or excited mood, she would have a splitting headache. This problem had followed Empress Dowager Zhou for over 20 years. Since he was young, he often saw Su Jin massage Empress Dowager Zhou's forehead. Now that you mention it, it's quite strange. This old illness hasn't acted up in the past few days. If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten about it. Empress Dowager Zhou looked at Su Jin serving on the side and asked, Do you remember how long it's been since this widow has had this problem? Chapter 1552. Empress Dowager Zhou gave a slight nod, That's right, that's right. Speaking of this widow, I really need to thank that ancient divine doctor. Emperor, summon him to the palace tomorrow, this widow will reward him generously. Mo Chuan replied, Mother, that ancient divine doctor left the capital this morning and went back to the godly Dr. Valley. What? He already left. Why so suddenly? Empress Dowager Zhou was shocked. She put down the chopsticks in her hand and revealed a regretful expression. She gave a faint sigh and said, This widow has received his favor, but before I can repay him, he has already left like this. How can this widow's heart be at peace? Imperial Mother, as a doctor, Divine Dr. Gu's duty as a doctor is to treat and save people. He won't covet Imperial Mother's reward. I originally wanted to reward him heavily, but after thinking about it, I couldn't think of a suitable gift. If I rewarded such an extraordinary person like him with a high official's gift, it would be an insult to him. As for his kindness in treating Imperial Mother's illness, I will remember it in my heart. As long as there is a chance in the future, I will definitely repay his kindness. Empress Dowager Zhou nodded and said, You have to remember it. Receiving a bit of kindness from someone, you have to repay it with a spring. You can't not repay him just because he is a divine doctor. This widow also heard that he took your Empress as his disciple, is this true? Mo Chuan replied, That's right, there is this matter. Ning is naturally intelligent and has a photographic memory, so the ancient divine doctor likes her a lot. That's why he took her as his last disciple. Empress Dowager Zhou picked up a dish and took a bite. Then she put down the chopsticks and said, That is her good fortune. Only, since she took the ancient divine doctor as her master and the master left, why hasn't she left as his disciple? Could it be she isn't going to the godly Dr. Valley to learn medicine with the ancient divine doctor? Perhaps she can't bear the pain of cultivating in the mountains, so she can't bear to leave the prosperity of the capital and the fine clothes and food in the palace. She revealed a faint cold smile and revealed a look of disdain. Mo Chuan replied with a serious expression, "Mother has wronged Ning, She was indeed going to the godly Dr. Valley to learn medicine with the ancient divine doctor, but your son couldn't bear for her to leave, so he forced her to stay with your son." He knew that Empress Dowager Zhou was still dissatisfied with Qin Ning, but he couldn't tell Empress Dowager Zhou about Chu Xiaoyang's betrayal, so he used himself as the reason. When Empress Dowager Zhou heard this, she couldn't help glaring at him in disappointment. "Emperor, how can you be so sentimental? You've truly wasted all the teachings I've given you." "Yes, it's all your son's fault. Your son feels like there are fewer and fewer people he can trust by his side, so he treasures everyone around him. Your son can't bear to part with Ning, and your son can't bear to part with Mother. Your son only wants to see Mother healthy and happy every day, that's enough." Mo Chuan looked at Empress Dowager Zhou with sincere eyes. His words came from the bottom of his heart. Ever since Chu Xiaobai left, he had been feeling guilty. If he knew this day would come, he would have treated Chu Xiaobai well. Empress Dowager Zhou's heart skipped a beat. She reached out and placed her hand on the back of Mo Chuan's hand. "Good child, for you to say these words, it's not a waste of Mother's efforts." Mother and Empress looked at each other and smiled. Their hearts were filled with boundless warmth. All the estrangement and confusion disappeared in this smile. Chapter 1553. "Come, Chuan, have a taste of this dish." Empress Dowager Zhou had a smile on her face. Her brows were filled with happiness as she personally placed a dish into Mo Chuan's bowl. Mo Chuan was also filled with happiness. He rarely saw this kind of heartfelt smile on Empress Dowager Zhou's face. He said with a smile, "Your son has already said that the dishes in Mother's palace are the best and they are all your son's favorite." He was speaking the truth. Empress Dowager Zhou liked to eat light vegetarian food, and this table was mostly filled with fragrant meat dishes. Out of 10 dishes, 9 of them were his favorite. It was clear they were specially prepared for him. "Since you like it, then eat more. This widow has seen that you've become skinnier over the past few days and your eyes are completely red. This widow has also heard that you spent the entire night in the royal study. Emperor, the country's politics are important, but your body is also important. If you tire yourself out, aren't you afraid this widow will be worried about you?" Empress Dowager Zhou looked at him with a pained expression as she turned to give orders to Su Jin. "Quickly stew a bowl of bird's nest for the emperor to nourish his body." "Yes, Empress Dowager." Su Jin bowed before turning to leave. She had watched Mo Chuan grow up, so her love for Mo Chuan was no different from Empress Dowager Zhou's. Mo Chuan said with a smile, "Mother is worrying too much. Your son is a martial artist, so I need less sleep than normal people. Your son only needs to meditate for a bit and it will be comparable to a normal person sleeping for 2 hours. Mother can be assured, your son will take care of his body." He saw that Empress Dowager Zhou still wanted to say something, so he quickly said, "Mother, this dish is really good. I wonder where Mother found this chef to actually make such a delicious dish." Empress Dowager Zhou said with a faint smile, "If you didn't mention it, this widow would have forgotten." "That's right, this widow invited you to dinner today because this widow has found a good chef. The dishes on the table are all made by this chef and this widow feels that they are not bad. I never thought that even the emperor would like to eat the dishes made by this chef." Mo Chuan praised, "Congratulations Mother, it's rare for a chef to receive Mother's praise. This person's cooking skills are not ordinary, so your son will definitely heavily reward him, making him do his best to cook for Mother. There's no need to congratulate me, this chef's dishes do not suit this widow's taste. This widow likes to eat vegetables, the simpler the better." This chef's skills are not ordinary, leaving him here for this widow is a waste of talent. How about this widow send this chef to the Emperor's Guan Yu Palace? You can always eat the delicacies this chef makes, how about that? Empress Dowager Zhou said with a smile. Empress Dowager Zhou nodded. Empress Dowager Zhou said with a smile, then wouldn't it be your son stealing mother's people? Silly child, why are you talking about stealing? If mother has something good, she will think of you first. If you are willing, this widow will send someone to send this chef to your palace. Empress Dowager Zhou said. Her words filled Mo Chuan's heart with warmth and he replied with a smile, since it's like this, it would be disrespectful for this minister to refuse. Your son thanks mother. He did not care about the chef's cooking skills, he only cared about Empress Dowager Zhou's care for him. As for the Guan Yu Palace, having a chef with good cooking skills was not bad. Ning would definitely like the dishes made by this chef. Chapter 1554. Mo Chuan thought that Empress Dowager Zhou would ask about Chu Xiaoyang, but after eating the meal and eating Su Jin's bird's nest, Empress Dowager Zhou did not mention the name Chu Xiaoyang at all. He secretly thought that he was thinking too much. Empress Dowager Zhou called him over just to have a meal with him and have a few words of conversation. Empress Dowager Zhou waited for him to drink another cup of tea before saying, Emperor, you are busy, so this widow won't keep you. You can eat a meal with this widow today and chat for a bit, this widow is already very happy. You don't need to come every day for the next few days, you have to prioritize the important matters. Mo Chuan stood up and respectfully gave a bow, your son understands. Mother, please rest. Your son will leave now. Empress Dowager Zhou gave a slight nod and said, good child, you can go. Mo Chuan looked at the Empress Dowager Zhou's kind smile under the candlelight and his heart couldn't help feeling sour. He thought that if Chu Xiaoyang really rebelled, it would be hard to see this kind of smile on his mother's face again. Mother, please take care of yourself. Your son will come visit mother when I have time. After saying that, he turned around and left the peaceful life palace. On the way, he thought back to the 2 hours he spent with Empress Dowager Zhou. The mother and son were very harmonious and Empress Dowager Zhou even took the initiative to mention Qin Ning's name. Although her voice was still a bit dissatisfied, she didn't scold her like before. Her face was filled with anger, clearly showing that she wanted to accept Ning. As expected, his mother no longer rejected Qin Ning. For her to have this kind of change, Gu Qingze played a huge role. When Mo Chuan thought of this, his gratitude towards Gu Qingze increased by another level. Coming out of the peaceful life palace, he did not return to the Guan Yu Palace, rather he went straight to the royal study. With the battle around the corner, he did not have the heart to rest at all, he had to use this time to study the military books. Even on the way back to the royal study, he impatiently took out the military books from his sleeves and began to read them in the candlelight. When he arrived at the royal study, he came out of the carriage. Seeing the light coming from the window, he knew that Qin Ning had not left yet. As expected, when he entered the room, he saw Qin Ning sitting under the candlelight, looking at the large map on the table. She didn't even notice him walking behind her. Mo Chuan quietly stood behind her for a while and saw that she was staring at a location on the map. He followed her gaze and saw that she was looking at the Nongguan village's red dot. What are you thinking, being so engrossed? Could it be that you want to recommend yourself and lead the troops to fight the enemy on my behalf? Mo Chuan said this and scared Qin. She suddenly turned around and found that it was Mo Chuan. She angrily said, Mo Chuan, why are you scaring me? Mo Chuan smiled as he reached out to hug her. His chin rubbed the top of her head, you were too engrossed and didn't even know that I came. It's a good thing that I came. If it was an assassin, your head wouldn't be there right now. Chen Ning giggled and disapprovingly said, "You've set up an inescapable net around the royal study and there are skilled secret guards. How could an assassin get close to me?" She suddenly thought of something and asked, "Is the Empress Dowager calling you because she knows about Chu Xiaoyang?" Chapter 1555. Chen Ning was a bit surprised. She tilted her head and thought about it, but she couldn't guess what Empress Dowager Zhou was thinking. Did the Empress Dowager mention me? Is she in a bad mood whenever I'm mentioned? Mo Chuan deliberately nodded with a serious expression. "That's right, Mother did mention your name." Then did she become so angry that she couldn't even eat? Her heart suddenly skipped a beat and a bad feeling filled her heart. "Silly girl. Do you think your mother is such a narrow-minded person? She only asked about the matter of you and the ancient divine doctor. She also said that it was your good fortune to have the ancient divine doctor as your master and she hoped that you could properly learn medicine from the ancient divine doctor. She didn't say anything bad about you, so are you assured now?" Mo Chuan thought of the smile on Empress Dowager Zhou's face and his heart was filled with an indescribable joy. Even the haze of Chu Xiaoyang's betrayal was swept away. Empress Dowager Zhou and her were the two people he cared about the most. His greatest wish was for Empress Dowager Zhou to accept Chen Ning one day. He hoped that the person he liked, Empress Dowager Zhou, would like him. After talking to Empress Dowager Zhou and seeing her attitude, Mo Chuan could foresee that this wish would come true soon. Chen Ning was a bit surprised. She thought that Empress Dowager Zhou had called Mo Chuan because she knew about Chu Xiaoyang's matter. According to her calculations, Empress Dowager Zhou would put this bad debt on her head. If she wasn't scolding her, she would force Mo Chuan to divorce her. Who would have thought that this was not the case at all? She knew that her previous identity was a thorn in Empress Dowager Zhou's heart. For a strong person like Empress Dowager Zhou to soften, it was truly strange. Mo Chuan, actually the Empress Dowager loves you very much. Her attitude towards me before was not because she hated me, but rather because of my identity. The Empress Dowager cares about you too much, so she can't allow a stain like me to exist by your side. Before Chen Ning could finish, Mo Chuan had already cut her off. He tightly held her hand and firmly said, "Who said you are a stain? I will not allow you to talk about yourself like this. You are the only treasure in this world and I was lucky enough to find you first. Being able to marry you is the greatest fortune of my life. Mo Chuan, being able to meet you is my fortune." Chen Ning bit her lips and revealed a faint smile. She forced back the tears in her eyes. No, she couldn't go on like this. If he said a few more heartfelt words, she would be willing to die for him. We're husband and wife, so is there a need to be this polite? Mo Chuan also smiled, revealing his snow-white teeth. His facial features were very handsome. Chen Ning's face turned red and she turned her head, not wanting to look at his bewitching smile. This guy had grown to look like this. Even she couldn't help but feel her heart palpitate when she saw him. No wonder Zhao Rongjunju was willing to die for him. She wanted to marry him even if it cost her life. Mo mean T her I say her T. And dowing the comma of the U, Chin said, "Done, comma Chin." I dower. Ning said. I. Chapter 1556. Chen Ning had already forgotten about this matter, but when he mentioned it, her stomach began to rumble. "I forgot. You have tea and desserts here, I'll just eat a few desserts to fill my stomach." She picked up a dessert and was about to put it in her mouth when Mo Chuan took it from her hand. She couldn't help being stunned. "What, you won't even let me eat desserts? Silly girl, how can desserts fill your stomach? You always say that I don't care about my body, but what about you? That's right, Mother sent a chef to the Guanyu Palace and he should be here by now. You should go back to the palace and have a taste of this chef's cooking. The food he makes is very delicious, I'm sure you'll like it. Mo Chuan suddenly thought of this. You're saying that the Empress Dowager sent you a chef? Chen Ning's eyes opened wide in surprise, feeling very surprised. Then she thought that it must be because Empress Dowager Zhou loved her son and was worried that the dishes made by the small kitchen in the Guanyu Palace wouldn't suit her son's taste, so she sent the best chef over. She couldn't help saying with a faint smile, the Empress Dowager is truly thoughtful. Alright, then I'll go back to the palace and have a taste of this chef's cooking. What about you? Are you still going to stay here and study tonight? Mo Chuan took out the 2 military books from his sleeve and said with a smile, these 2 books of yours are treasures, surpassing all of Chu Xiaoyang's military books. You've carefully written these military books, naturally I can't let you down. If I don't work hard and lose to Chu Xiaoyang, wouldn't I lose face for you? Relax, if I'm tired, I'll meditate for a bit. As long as I circulate my energy for a bit, I'll be full of energy. You're a lazy girl who doesn't want to cultivate, do you know the benefits of internal energy now? When Chen Ning heard the word, cultivate, her head swelled up. She was afraid that Mo Chuan would force her to cultivate internal energy again, so she quickly said, alright, alright, alright. Then I'll go back first. Wait a bit, I'll call Xiao Si to send you back. No need, we're in the palace and there are so many secret guards protecting me. Are you still worried that something will happen? You should have more people by your side, just in case someone tries to assassinate you. Mo Chuan said, if there are assassins that dare to come, I'll catch one. If one comes, I'll catch 2. I'm just afraid they won't come. He raised his brows and he was filled with confidence. Chen Ning couldn't help revealing a faint smile. She nodded and said, all right, then let Xiao Si come back with me. That girl Xiao Ru has been cooped up in the palace for the past few days and I don't have time to take her out to play. I'll let Xiao Si chat with her and have some fun. You're really good to that girl Xiao Ru. For a dumb girl like her to have a good master like you, it really is her good fortune from her previous life. Mo Chuan looked at her and said, it's because she treats me well. Putting myself in her shoes, I naturally have to treat her well. Moreover, the first person I saw when I opened my eyes was her. Everyone thought I was dead, and only she stayed by my bedside, crying until her eyes were swollen. She thought back to the first scene she saw when she transmigrated. It was a broken house with a wooden bed. It was cold and empty, and there was only Xiao Ru crying by her side. Chapter 1557. Ah! Chen Ning suddenly realized that she had spilled the beans. After calming herself down, she said, I'm talking about when I was in the King Ding Yuan Palace. I spat out blood and fainted after being poisoned. I thought I was going to die, but I didn't know how I woke up. The person who harmed you that day was Qin Baiyun, right? Mo Chuan suddenly slapped the table and knit his brows. I actually forgot about her. Although Chu Xiaoyang has run away, Chen Baiyun is still in his King Ding Yuan Palace and she still has his flesh and blood in her stomach. If Chu Xiaoyang still has a bit of affection, he would not allow his woman and child to stay in West Chu. He would definitely send people to take them away. That's right, it must be like this. He loudly shouted, someone come. Xiao Si immediately answered from outside the door. Immediately send out my orders. Send the Imperial Army to protect the King Ding Yuan Palace, no one is allowed to enter or leave. Also, send a group of secret guards to keep an eye on Chen Baiyun for this one. If Chen Baiyun runs away, then bring their heads back to this one. Mo Chuan ordered in a sharp voice. Xiao Si's face slightly changed as he loudly replied, yes, I will obey your orders. Chen Ning gave a sigh in her heart as she secretly thought, if Chu Xiaoyang really cared about Qin Baiyun, he would not have left alone. Since he left, it means that he did not care about Qin Baiyun's life or the child in her stomach. Back at the spring banquet, Chu Xiaoyang could lie through his teeth and completely push away the responsibility of this child. This meant that in his heart, this child did not have a place at all. As for that Qin Baiyun, she had tried to scheme against her again and again. She just wanted to obtain Chu Xiaoyang and obtain the position of King Ding Yuan's princess, but what did she obtain in the end? She only had the flesh and blood Chu Xiaoyang had left in her stomach. If Chu Xiaoyang really rebelled, then she would immediately become a prisoner. The child in her stomach would no longer be King Ding Yuan's little heir and would become a sinner with her. Even if Imo Chuan spared their lives, it would be hard for them to escape the fate of being imprisoned for the rest of their lives. Using all her schemes and harming Qingqing's life, this was a true portrayal of Qin Baiyun. Thinking of this, she couldn't help sighing. She did not have any sympathy for this half-sister of hers because this was all her own doing. Coming out of the royal study, she sat on the sedan back to the palace with Xiao Si by her side. Chen Ning lifted the curtain and saw Xiao Si. She said in a strange voice, "Didn't the emperor tell you to do something? Why are you still here?" Xiao Si raised his hands and respectfully replied, "What the emperor has ordered, this servant has already sent down the decree. There will naturally be people to complete it. The emperor has ordered this servant to protect the empress. This is the most important matter in the emperor's heart." Chen Ning couldn't help smiling as she said, "Your mouth really knows how to talk. No wonder Xiao Ru is always so happy being coaxed by you. She keeps saying that she wants to hear your stories." Xiao Si stuck out his tongue. Once he mentioned Xiao Ru, his expression became lively. "This servant doesn't really know how to tell stories. I can only tell a few interesting things this servant has encountered. Miss Xiao Ru really likes listening to it. In this servant's heart, Xiao Ru is like this servant's little sister. If this servant's little sister was still here, she would be around Xiao Ru's age." Chen Ning said in a curious voice, "You have a little sister?" Chapter 1558. Then what happened after that? Where is your little sister now? Your parents and family? Chen Ning asked. She never knew Xiao Si's background. She had only heard Imo Chuan mention that he had entered the palace as a eunuch when he was young. This was the first time she had heard Xiao Si mention his family. This servant's parents are both dead. Xiao Si raised his head and revealed a sad expression. "When this servant was young, there was a drought in my hometown, so my parents brought me and my little sister away from home. We begged all the way to the capital city, wanting to rely on our relatives, but we couldn't take the hunger on the way, so we sold this servant's little sister to a family. Afterwards, my little sister's money was used up and my parents starved to death, leaving me alone. I followed a group of beggars to the capital city and heard that as long as I entered the palace, I would have food to eat and clothes to wear, so I entered the palace to become a eunuch. As expected, the days in the palace are much better than when I was a beggar. I have good food to eat, good clothes to wear, and I even met a good master like the emperor." Saying this, he raised his hand to wipe away the tears that had unknowingly fallen from his face. He suddenly realized something and said, "Look at this servant's mouth. What nonsense is this servant saying? How could this servant mention these old matters in front of the Empress? This servant will not say it in the future, not even a single word." Chen Ning looked at his thin face and gave a soft sigh. Then she said in a gentle voice, "Xiao Si, I never thought that your background would be this pitiful. You are a lonely person and Xiao Ru has lost her parents. She was sold to my family as a maid since she was young, but your backgrounds are very similar. You said that Xiao Ru is like your little sister, so you can treat her like your little sister in the future. When I'm not in the palace, you have to take care of her and talk to her, all right?" Xiao Si wiped his tears and said with a smile, "All right, this servant also likes to talk to Xiao Ru." What, does the Empress want to leave the palace? He looked at Chen Ning with wide eyes. Chen Ning thought that this Xiao Si was very mischievous. She couldn't let him see anything and reveal it to him. Chuan. She said with a faint smile, I'm saying that in the future, the Emperor and I will have to leave the palace and it won't be convenient to bring Xiao Ru with us. At that time, you have to take care of her, alright? Alright, this servant will definitely take good care of Xiao Ru, just like my own little sister. Xiao Si straightforwardly agreed. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile and put down the curtain. The group returned to the Guanyu Palace. Chen Ning got off the carriage and walked through the gates. Looking at the empty courtyard, she couldn't help feeling a little strange. It wasn't late yet, and it wasn't time to go to bed, but why were all the eunuchs and palace maids gone? Could it be that assassin from the Purple Heaven had come back? She thought of the river of blood that day and her heart tightened. The first person she thought of was Xiao Ru. God, Xiao Ru was lucky enough to escape last time, he couldn't let anything happen to her this time. Xiao Ru. She raised her voice and shouted. At the same time, she rushed over to Xiao Ru's room. She was startled and couldn't help but laugh at herself for being overly suspicious. That assassin from Purple Heaven Pavilion had taken her bone-melting pill and lost all of his power. How could he possibly make a comeback? Chapter 1559. Chen Ning walked out of Xiao Ru's room and saw Xiao Si guarding the door. He had a nervous look on his face as he asked, Empress, what happened to Miss Xiao Ru? She smiled and shook her head as she said, Xiao Ru should be waiting in my room for me to come back. I'll go see that girl, she must have fallen asleep waiting for me. She didn't even hear me call her. Xiao Si relaxed and revealed a smile as he followed Chen Ning into the palace. Yeah. So beautiful. So beautiful. She's like a fairy descending to the mortal world. I've never seen such an enchanting beauty before. Me too. Although I'm a girl, I've also been enchanted by her. Before the two of them reached the palace, they saw a large group of maids and eunuchs surrounding the palace. They were all peeking in and giving out surprised praises at the same time. Chen Ning couldn't help smiling. No wonder she couldn't find anyone in the palace, they had all come here. But what were they doing in front of her palace? Could it be that a fairy had fallen from the heavens and landed right in her palace? Hey, what are you all doing here? This is the Empress Palace. Seeing this, Xiao Si took a step forward and shouted at the top of his lungs. The palace maids all turned around. When they saw Chen Ning, their faces filled with panic as they knelt down on the ground. Greetings to the Empress. We ask the Empress for forgiveness. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile and raised her hand, everyone stand up. What are you all doing here? Is there something fun to see in my room? Reporting to the Empress, it's a fairy-like beauty that came to our palace. A maid quickly replied. Chen Ning and Xiao Si were both stunned. A fairy-like beauty. Chen Ning's eyes revealed a look of interest. It was a woman's nature to like beautiful things, even Chen Ning was not an exception. Her heart was filled with curiosity as she walked into the palace. She wanted to see just what kind of beautiful things this fairy-like beauty had. Xiao Si became suspicious and asked, what fairy-like beauty, where did it come from? The maids replied, it was someone sent by the Empress Dowager. When Xiao Si heard this, his suspicions disappeared. He was also curious as he followed behind Chen Ning. This is really strange. Why would the Empress Dowager send a beauty here for no reason? He muttered in a low voice. Chen Ning walked into the bedroom and saw that the room was brightly lit, as if it was daytime. At the same time, the fragrance of food wafted into her nose. Young miss, you're back. Xiao Ru heard the sound of footsteps and looked up to see Chen Ning. Her little face revealed a surprised and happy expression as she quickly came forward. But other than the table full of dishes, Ning, Chen Ru, Xiao Ru, Shi, Ru, and Chen Ning's face, Ning, Chen, Xiao, Chen, Ning, and Tian, Ru, Xiao, Ning, Chen, and Ru, Xiao, Chen, Shi, Ning, Chen, 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 Chen. However, apart from the table full of dishes, there were no goddess-like beauties. Chen, Yang, she looked over Xiao Ru and saw that her round apple-shaped face was blushing. Her eyes were shining with excitement, making her eyes look dark and bright. She had grown a bit taller and had turned into a delicate and elegant little beauty. She had turned into a beautiful and slender little beauty. Chapter 1560. Young miss, try this dragon well prawns. Is it good? Xiao Ru eagerly helped her bring out the dish. The taste is light and sweet. It has the fragrance of the tea leaves and the sweetness of the prawns. It's very good. I can't see it, but Xiao Ru's cooking skills have greatly improved. Chen Ning ate a mouthful of prawns and pinched Xiao Ru's red apple cheeks in praise. Xiao Ru's face was filled with excitement as she helped her eat another dish. Young miss, try this brown sugar cake. Not bad, it's crispy and fragrant. It's sweet but not greasy. Chen Ning liked this kind of cake the most, so she ate 2 pieces in one go. Xiao Si stood on the side, swallowing his saliva as he looked at the dishes on the table. When Chen Ning saw this, she revealed a faint smile and said, Xiao Ru, give these 2 dishes to Xiao Si. Xiao Si, you don't need to be so polite. You must be hungry after a long day, so you can eat them. Xiao Si was filled with joy as he quickly went forward to receive them. He said, many thanks to the Empress. In front of Chen Ning, he did not dare sit on a chair, so he took the 2 dishes and sat on the doorstep. He began to eat in large mouthfuls, praising the food as he said, delicious, too delicious. Xiao Ru saw this and her eyes turned into crescents. She poured a cup of tea for Xiao Si. Xiao Si, don't just eat, drink some tea. Be careful not to choke. Eat slowly, there's no need to rush. As long as you like it, you can eat it whenever you want in the future. Xiao Si's mouth was filled with food and his words were unclear. These dishes are really delicious. Xiao Ru, your cooking skills are really good. Whoever marries you in the future will have a lifetime of good food to enjoy. Hey, who wants to marry someone? If you keep talking nonsense, I won't let you eat it in the future. Xiao Ru's face couldn't help turning red. She spat at him and then turned back to serve Chen Ning. Young miss, do you like today's dishes? Her eyes sparkled as she asked. I like it a lot. But, there's one bad thing. Aw. What's bad about it? The smile on Xiao Ru's face instantly disappeared. Chen Ning said with a smile, if you make this kind of delicious food for me every day, I'll become fat in a few days. That wouldn't be good. The emperor would not like a woman that's as fat as a pig, right? Xiao Ru let out a sigh and patted her chest as she said, I've really scared the young miss. Does this mean that you like to eat this kind of food? Xiao Ru nodded with a smile. That's great. If that's the case, then she can stay. Little Ru instantly smiled. What do you mean she can stay? Chen Ning was confused hearing this. Xiao Ru giggled, it's the chef who made these dishes. Young miss, you mean you agree to keep her, right? Xiao Ru Chin, Chin Xiao Chin Chin Xiao Chin. Are you saying that these dishes weren't made by you, but by someone else? That's right, that's right. How can this servant's cooking compare to hers? She's the chef sent by the Empress Dowager. Eldest miss, don't you know? Chen Ning suddenly remembered that Imo Chuan had mentioned this before. She revealed a faint smile and said, "This chef's cooking skills are not bad and she was sent by the Empress Dowager, so we can keep her. We'll have good food in the future." Chapter 1561. Qian Qian. Chen Ning said with a smile, "This chef's name sounds like a girl's name." Her words came to a stop. He saw a slim and graceful figure slowly walk out from behind the screen. She had a head of black hair, and although it was combed into a normal palace bun, each strand of hair was shining like black satin. Her head was slightly lowered, only revealing a smooth and beautiful chin. It was so small that anyone who saw it would feel a sense of pity. She was wearing the same palace maid's attire as Xiao Ru. The palace dress that couldn't be any more ordinary was worn on her body, but it perfectly outlined her graceful figure. Her slender waist was so slender that it required one to hold it in one hand. Every step she took was like she was walking on a lotus platform, like a weak willow in the wind, graceful and graceful. Although he had not seen her face, he could already tell that this was a beauty that could cause the downfall of a country. Xiao Xi's breathing stopped. His eyes and mouth were wide open, and his jaw almost dropped to the ground. With a quang dang sound, the plate in his hand fell to the ground and he was covered in food. But he still stared at the beauty that was slowly walking out from behind the screen, not moving his eyes at all. When Xiao Ru saw this, she wanted to laugh, but she didn't know why, but her heart suddenly filled with anger. She couldn't help glaring at him. No wonder the young miss said that men were all lustful. Even a little eunuch like Xiao Xi was no exception. Seeing this beauty that was like a goddess, his eyes almost popped out. Humph. Let's see if she still ignores him in the future. Chen Ning was stunned. She stared blankly at the beauty walking over and then bowing down in front of her. "Xiao Ru, this girl is the chef you were talking about?" she asked in a voice filled with disbelief. For a beautiful girl like this, she could do anything, but why would she become a kitchen maid? "That's right, young miss. Don't you think she's beautiful?" Other than the young miss, this servant has never seen a beauty more beautiful than her. Not only is she beautiful, her cooking skills are also first class and her name is very nice to hear. It's a pity that there's just one bad thing about her. Xiao Ru gave a sigh and revealed a look of regret. "What's bad?" Chen Ning asked in a curious voice. The girl named Qian Qian was kneeling in front of her. Now that she was closer, she could see more clearly. The girl's head was half lowered. Her long and curly eyelashes fluttered like the wings of a butterfly. The skin on her chin was soft and tender, white and fine, like a piece of tofu. Even she couldn't help being amazed. This girl was truly beautiful. "Young miss, this servant will tell you, but you can't look down on Qian Qian and you can't look down on her. She's good in every way, she doesn't know how to speak." Xiao Ru said in a small voice, stuttering. "What? Can't speak? Is she a mute?" Xiao Xi blurted out. He immediately felt a great sense of regret in his heart. The heavens were really too unfair. They had clearly created this fairy-like beauty, but they had given her such a flaw. The heavens really made fools of people. Xiao Ru immediately glared at him and angrily said, "She's not a mute. She just doesn't know how to speak." "Xiao Xi, if you say she's a mute again, I won't let Qian Qian cook for you anymore." Chapter 1562. From the first time she saw Qian Qian, she fell in love with this girl that was as beautiful as a dream and as soft as water. She especially had such good cooking skills. When she found out that Qian Qian couldn't speak, she wished she could cut off her tongue and give it to Qian Qian, as long as Qian Qian could speak. But sometimes, she also felt that Qian didn't need to know how to speak at all. Her pair of beautiful and charming eyes turned, and she had already said what she wanted to say. She was captivated by Qian's eyes, and only wanted to treat her well with all her heart. When Ning heard that Qian couldn't speak, she felt the same as Xiaoxi. She felt a kind of pity and regret. She looked down at Qian kneeling in front of her and said in a soft voice, "You're called Qian. This name is very nice to hear." Xiaoru said, "You couldn't speak, but can you hear me? Lift up your head and let me see." Qian lowered her head and her shoulders trembled, as if she was a little nervous. But very quickly, she slowly raised her head. Her eyes were still lowered, not daring to look at Ning. As soon as she raised her head, everyone present felt their eyes light up. It was as if all the candles in the hall had exploded, or as if a bright moon had slowly risen, its clear radiance curling up in spirals. "Yeah. She's really beautiful," Ning praised in a soft voice. She rarely praised a girl like this, but when she saw Qian's face, she couldn't help but praise her. Xiaoxi couldn't take his eyes off her, revealing an infatuated look. Xiaoru couldn't help giving a snort. Although Qian was very beautiful, seeing Xiaoxi staring at Qian like this, her heart was filled with an indescribable anger. Qian raised her long eyelashes and quickly looked at Ning. Her eyes were filled with charm, especially those eyes that were slightly raised. It was filled with a bewitching feeling. She made a few hand gestures and her 10 slender jade fingers were as beautiful as orchids. Xiaoxi was stunned seeing this. He felt that from her hair to her feet, there was not a single part of her that wasn't beautiful. But what did she mean by making these hand gestures? He couldn't understand it at all. Ning understood. Qian was using sign language, which was no different from what she had learned in the modern era. "You know sign language? That's good, it will be much easier to communicate in the future. Say, do you want to stay in my Guan Osprey Palace?" Ning revealed a faint smile and said in a warm voice. Qian's expressive eyes looked at her for a moment, then she lowered her eyes and nodded slightly. Qian eyes looked at her for a while before looking down and gently nodding her head. These were not the eyes of a person. These eyes were Qian. This Qian you. As if she as a human as Qian as she wanted. Qian, as she, as this as this, Qian, as, you. Qian, you as, this. What do you want to say? Ning looked at him and revealed a surprised look. Chapter 1563. Empress, this servant feels that this Miss Qian's dishes are not good at all. If the Empress is not satisfied with the Guan Osprey Palace's chefs, this servant can go find the best chef in the imperial kitchen to cook for the Empress. As for this Miss Qian, we should send her back. Xiaoxi bravely said. He was wholeheartedly supporting Ning. He was secretly thinking that he had fallen head over heels for Qian's face. If the emperor saw it, what would happen? Therefore, such a vixen could not be allowed to stay here. It would be better to send her away as soon as possible before the emperor saw her. Who would have thought that after he said this, before Ning could say anything, Xiaoru had already jumped up in anger. You're speaking nonsense. You said that Qian's dishes are not good, then why did you wolf it down and almost lick the plate? You're clearly lying. You want to send Qian away, what are your intentions? She pointed at Xiaoxi's nose as she shouted. Xiaoxi stared at her. He simply couldn't understand what Xiao Ru's head was made of. Was she really made of wood? Could it be that she couldn't tell that she was clearing the obstacles for her eldest young miss? He really wanted to grab a handful of grass and stuff Xiao Ru's mouth up. Miss Xiao Ru, whether Qianqian's dishes are good or not depends on the Empress' opinion. Let's just listen to the Empress' opinion. Xiao Si looked at Chen Ning. He believed that Chen Ning would be able to understand his hint just now. Xiao Ru fiercely rolled her eyes at him and said to Chen Ning, "Young miss, you said that Qianqian's dishes are good and you said you wanted her to stay, you won't go back on your word, right?" Chen Ning did not look at Xiao Ru or Xiao Si. Her eyes fell onto Qianqian's face and she said with a faint smile, "Qianqian, what do you think? Do you want to stay in my Guan Osprey Palace or do you want to return to the Empress Dowager's Peaceful Life Palace?" Qianqian revealed a determined look. She first made a gesture and then forcefully nodded. Chen Ning said, "Oh, you want to stay, right?" Qianqian forcefully nodded again. "All right, since you're willing to stay, then you can stay. Xiao Ru, bring Qianqian down and arrange a place for her to stay. Then tell her the rules of the palace. All right, you can all leave." Xiao Ru was pleasantly surprised as she said, "Young miss, you really agree to let Qianqian stay? And, since you like Qianqian this much, then treat her well. You can't bully her just because she can't speak, do you understand?" Chen Ning patted her head with a smile. "How could I bully Qianqian? She's so beautiful and I can't wait to like her. I'm not like a certain person who only knows how to say one thing and mean another." "Humph." Xiao Ru said this and then glared at Xiao Si. Lil Four was depressed. It was as if there was a big piece of cotton stuck in his chest. It was uncomfortable. Xiao Si could not help but feel. Xiao. Could it be that the Emperor? Xiao Chen Qian. She, could, that. Qian, I Qing, Li, Qian, I, Q. I Xiao, Q Li, Emperor, King, Qian, said, Qian, Qing, Chapter 1564. Miss Qian, come with me. Xiao Ru came forward and affectionately pulled Qian's hand, leading her out. Qian gently walked forward with a slender waist. After taking a few steps, she couldn't help looking back at Chen Ning. Chen Ning was also looking at her and giving her a gentle smile. Qian's face turned red and she looked down, following behind Xiao Ru. Chen Ning waited until Qian's figure disappeared into the night before slowly looking back. She raised a cup of tea to her lips and slowly sipped it, revealing a thoughtful expression on her face. Xiao Si, if you have something to say, then say it. There are no outsiders here. She slowly said. Xiao Si already had a scratching appearance as he impatiently said, Empress, this servant doesn't understand. Why are you keeping Qian in the Guanyu Palace? Chen Ning looked up at him and said with a faint smile, You're not keeping her and letting her return to the Peaceful Life Palace. Why can't I? The Empress can say that she doesn't like Qian's cooking and the Empress Dowager can't force her into the Guanyu Palace. But I feel that Qian's cooking is very delicious. Chen Ning said with a smile. Xiao Si was so anxious that he began to sweat. Empress, this servant doesn't believe that you can't see that Qian is too beautiful, simply a beauty. This servant is worried that if the Emperor sees her, he might. He bit his lower lip twice, not daring to speak further. Might what? Xiao Si, what are you saying behind this one's back? This one hasn't been here for a while and you're already saying bad things about this one in front of the Empress. Do you not want your head anymore? Suddenly, Mo Chuan's voice came from outside the door. As his voice fell, his tall and straight figure appeared in front of them. Xiao Si was so scared that his body trembled. He fell to the ground with a plop and began to kowtow. This servant doesn't dare. Even if this servant had 120 guts, I would definitely not say bad things about the emperor. Empress, you have to say something fair for this servant, right? Chen Ning stood up. Mo Chuan, didn't you want to stay in the royal study to read? Why did you come back? Don't blame Xiao Si. If he said anything bad about you, pigs would be able to climb trees. Xiao Si was filled with fear, but when he heard Chen Ning's words, he almost burst out laughing. He quickly suppressed it, not daring to look up. Mo Chuan pulled Chen Ning's hand and his eyes fell onto the unfinished dishes on the table. I was worried that you wouldn't eat properly, but I never thought that the new chef would not only be good at cooking, his eyes would also be good. He had already prepared such a sumptuous meal. How about it, are you satisfied with his cooking? Chen Ning said with a faint smile, the chef sent by the Empress Dowager is truly extraordinary, making everything I like. I've already agreed to let her stay and have Xiao Ru arrange a place for her to stay. Mo Chuan nodded and looked at Xiao Si. Before this one came, what did you brats say to the Empress? I seem to have heard you mention this one. Are you worried that this one will see something? Mo Chin Xiao Si. Chuan Mo Chuan's face, Mo Chuan's Mo Chuan's Mo, Mo him Qian to Qian S to Xiao's S. Xiao Qian, Tian Si said, T the QS XTMO Xiao Si anxiously said, this servant doesn't dare. Then tell the truth. Mo Chuan shouted in a deep voice. Chapter 1565. I'm talking about the new chef. She. Xiao Si stuttered as he secretly looked at Mo Chuan. What about that chef? Mo Chuan knit his brows. Xiao Si gritted his teeth and steeled his heart as he said, Emperor, that chef is a girl and she looks like a fox spirit. She only looked at this servant once and this servant felt my bones turn soft. This servant is worried that if this kind of girl stays in the Guanyu Palace, the emperor might. Even if he had a lot of courage, he wouldn't dare say the rest of his words. But Mo Chuan already understood his meaning, so he smiled instead of being angry. Ha, you're worried that this one will like that girl. Like a fox spirit. Looking at you and your bones turn soft, do you think this one is as useless as you? He glanced at Chen Ning. You've seen her. Does that girl really look like a fox? Chen Ning pursed her lips into a smile. Of course I've seen her. That girl doesn't look like a fox, rather she looks like a fairy. If you want to see her, I'll have Xiao Ru bring her over for you to see. Mo Chuan waved his sleeve and said in an uninterested voice, what fairy or fairy, I don't want to see her. As long as her cooking is good, it doesn't matter even if she looks like a fox. If you like her cooking, you can keep her. If you don't, this one will send her back to Mother's palace. Xiao Si was filled with joy when he heard this and kept looking at Chen Ning. Chen Ning pretended like she didn't see it and she still had a smile on her face. I actually like this girl called Qian. Not only does she cook good food, she also has a beautiful face. There's a phrase called beauty is a feast for the eyes. Have you heard of it before? Since you like her, then keep her. As for the phrase, beauty is a feast for the eyes, this is the first time I've heard it. Why don't you tell me, what do these words mean? Mo Chuan had a smile in his eyes as he raised his hand to pinch her chin. His deep dark eyes looked at her without blinking, making her face turn red and her heart beat faster. Especially since his words were filled with teasing. She couldn't help saying in a slightly angry voice, Mo Chuan. He was teasing her in front of Xiao Si. He was the ruler of a country, did he even want his face? Xiao Si, scram. Mo Chuan didn't even look at Xiao Si as he shouted in a deep voice. Xiao Si's head was almost touching the ground. He had long wanted to run away, but without the emperor's orders, he didn't dare leave. Hearing this, it was as if he had been granted amnesty. He quickly ran out of the hall, his heart almost jumping out of his chest. Mo Chuan reached out and carried Chen Ning in his arms, walking into the bedroom with large steps. Chen Ning blinked. "You're not going to the royal study tonight?" Mo Chuan nodded and said, "I will stay here and keep you company." He gently placed her on the bed and pulled the quilt over her body. Seeing that she was staring at him without blinking, with a questioning look in her eyes, he couldn't help but smile and say, "Don't worry and sleep, I won't disturb you. I'll stay here and read some military books." He took out a military book from his sleeve and began to read it. "Mo Chuan, do you think Chu Xiaoyang will really join South Yu and rebel?" Chen Ning held her chin and asked Mo Chuan. Chapter 1566. But Chen Ning bit her lips. There was something she had kept in her heart for a long time, but she couldn't hold it in anymore and said it. "I always feel that although Chu Xiaoyang has hatred in his heart, he hates you and he hates me. He wants to take back everything that belongs to him, but his heart should still have this country. He is not the kind of person who would betray his country for personal gain." Mo Chuan, "I'm not saying this to help him, rather I don't believe he would do this." "You won't be angry, right?" Mo Chuan rubbed her hair and gave a faint smile. "Silly girl, when have I ever been angry with you? For you to say this, his love for you has not been in vain." He paused and then said, "Actually what you said is reasonable, but you still don't understand his personality. He is the kind of person who would disregard everything to achieve his goal. You just said that he wants to take back everything that belongs to him, but in West Chu, he does not have any military power or military strength. It is like a fool's dream for him to obtain all of this. The only way he can achieve his goal is to borrow soldiers. But who can he borrow soldiers from? Northern Qi has just expressed their goodwill to our West Chu, so they would not send troops to attack our West Chu for a king that has lost his power. That East Qin kidnapped the previous emperor and tortured him, so Chu Xiaoyang hates the East Qin people to the bone. He would never go to East Qin to borrow soldiers. That South Yu has always been eyeing our West Chu, but they do not dare to attack us. Once Chu Xiaoyang defected to South Yu and gave them the 5 linked crossbow blueprints, it would be like a gold ingot falling from the heavens onto South Yu's head. How could they not tightly hold on to it? So I can guarantee that the South Yu will happily borrow soldiers from Chu Xiaoyang and have him bring the elite soldiers of the South Yu to attack our West Chu. For the South Yu, this is only good for them. If I'm not wrong, this war is imminent and cannot be avoided." Chen Ning listened to his analysis and finally gave a sigh. She was silent for a long time. After a while, she said, "Once the South Yu soldiers, there will be no more peace. The poor commoners' days of peace and contentment will soon come to an end. Who knows how many soldiers will die on the battlefield, and how many families will be torn apart. If I knew it would be like this, I wouldn't have been merciful to Chu Xiaoyang in the beginning." She angrily slammed the bed. "All right, we'll talk about this later. Just obediently close your eyes and sleep first. If you don't sleep, don't blame me for not letting you sleep." Mo Chuan looked at her with a hidden meaning. All right, I'll sleep." "Mo Chuan, don't work too hard." Mo Chuan pulled her head back into the blanket and only revealed her eyes to look at him. I know. Go to sleep." He smiled and covered her eyes with his palm. After a while, he moved his hand away. He saw her breathing was light and her eyes were closed. She had already entered the land of dreams. The smile on Mo Chuan's smile disappeared. Mo Chuan's face. The mo chuan long time mo. In Ning Chen back, he mo long ago. In reality, he didn't have the slightest confidence in this battle against Nanyue. The matter of Chu Xiaoyang defecting to South Yu had not been spread yet. There were only a few people in the court that knew of this matter. These people were his loyal subjects, but they were all civil officials and did not know how to lead troops into battle. Chapter 1567. He hoped that there would be a day when Chu Xiaoyang could lead the West Chu army to the east and defeat East Qin, saving the previous emperor. But he never would have thought that the Chu Xiaoyang he had spent so much effort to train would one day turn around and bite him. Moreover, this bite was right on his weak spot, making him feel disappointed and hurt. How could he tell Chen Ning about his thoughts? He could only bury it deep in his heart. Mo Chuan took a deep breath and threw out all the distracting thoughts in his mind. There was no use thinking about it now. It was better to take this time to study the military strategy and use it to defend against the enemy. He picked up the military strategy book and calmed his heart down before carefully reading it. Suddenly, his ears moved and he heard a rustling sound coming from the yard. It was like someone was tiptoeing in this direction. Who was it? Not sleeping in the middle of the night, what were they doing here? It was clear they had bad intentions. Mo Chuan knit his brows and stood up. He jumped in front of the window and gently pushed open the window a little to look outside. He saw the bright moonlight shining down on the yard, just like flowing mercury. The moonlight was very beautiful. Under this extremely beautiful moonlight, there was an extremely beautiful young girl. She had a head of black hair that was like crow feathers, and her snow-white feet were bare. She tiptoed as if her feet were not touching the ground. She was like a moonlight fairy that had descended to the mortal world, and anyone who saw her would feel as if their breath would be snatched away. Her back was facing the moonlight and her appearance could not be seen clearly, but it was still enough to shock people with her beauty. Mo Chuan's first reaction was he seeing things? He composed himself, and when he looked over again, the beautiful girl was already slowly approaching. She had a snow-white and delicate face, and a pair of captivating eyes. The corners of her eyes were slightly raised, and there was an indescribable charm, just like the eyes of a fox. Could she be a fox spirit? Xiao Xi's words suddenly flashed in Mo Chuan's mind. So she was the chef that looked like a fox spirit. He had the same thought as Chen Ning in his mind. This kind of beauty, she could do anything, but why did she have to be a chef? Following this, a doubt appeared in his mind. Why did his mother send this kind of beauty to the Guan Osprey Palace? What was her intention? This beautiful girl Qian was naturally the appearance of the thousand-faced young master in women's clothing. The Zhaorong princess was covered in bumps from being bitten by the bugs and the pain was hard to bear. She placed all of this hatred on Qin Ning's head. When she returned to the palace, she told her father about sending the red-clothed young master into the palace. She gritted her teeth and said that she was going to use this red-clothed beauty to steal the emperor's cousin's heart, making Qin Ning lose his favor and be banished to the cold palace. Naturally, she would not reveal the true identity of the young master in red as an assassin from the Purple Heaven Pavilion. She just made up a random excuse, saying that she had accidentally saved the young master in red. In order to repay her for saving her life, the young master was obedient to her. Duke Ning had seen countless peerless beauties in his life, but after seeing the thousand-faced young master in female attire, he was so shocked that he couldn't move his eyes away. Chapter 1568. He suppressed his disgust, raised his eyes, and gave Duke Ning a flirtatious look. This one glance made Duke Ning's bones go soft. Zhaorong Junju saw her father's dumbfounded expression and couldn't help but laugh proudly. "Father, what do you think of your daughter's plan?" Duke Ning heard his daughter's laughter and came back to his senses. However, he still stared unblinkingly at Chan. The thousand-faced young master blushed slightly and lowered his head, pretending to be shy. He was like a budding flower that was about to speak and was even more touching. Very good, very good. Daughter, I couldn't tell that you found such a beauty. With such a beauty, your plan will definitely succeed. Duke Ning stroked his beard and smiled. Zhao Rongjuanju's eyes lit up. Then father, quickly send her into the palace. When cousin the emperor sees Chan, he will immediately be enchanted by her. As long as he is enchanted by Chan, he will naturally dump that little b*tch. I already can't wait to see how that little b*tch will look after she loses favor and is banished to the cold palace. Duke Ning was even more astute. He knew that if he rashly sent such a fairy-like beauty into the palace, in the eyes of others, it would be seen as Sima Zhao's evil intentions. He wouldn't be so stupid as to leave behind the excuse that he had enchanted the emperor's heart. As for such a stunning beauty, of course, he would send her into the palace. However, how to send her, and how to send her so that others wouldn't be able to see his intentions, would require some thought. He thought for a moment and looked at Chan, asking, "What do you know?" The thousand-faced young master's eyes widened, not understanding what he meant. His eyes were already very good. With this slight opening, his gaze was even more captivating. Duke Ning was shocked once again. He hurriedly averted his gaze. His old heart thumped wildly in his chest for a while before it slowly calmed down. He was even more happy. This girl called Chan was a beauty rarely seen in 10,000 years. He had lived for so long and almost couldn't control himself when he saw her. The emperor was young and full of vigor. How could he not be tempted by such a beauty? Do you know how to play the guqin? Dance? Sing? Paint? Write poems? Lyrics? What? You don't know anything. Duke Ning calmed himself down and asked the thousand-faced young master again. Who knew that the girl called Chan would shake her head the moment he asked? Duke Ning's face immediately revealed a look of disappointment. This young lady was actually a good-for-nothing idiot. Although the emperor was young, he was knowledgeable and talented. He would definitely not only like a pretty flower vase. How long would he be able to satisfy others with his beauty? If she wanted to capture a man's heart for a long time, she couldn't just rely on her incomparably beautiful appearance. Xiaorong, why doesn't she know anything? Do you think that your cousin the emperor would like such a pretty vase? Duke Ning flicked his sleeve and instantly lost interest in Chan. He unhappily scolded Zhao Rongjunju. Chapter 1569. Which man in this world doesn't fall head over heels for him? When he showed up just now, even you, father, were stunned. Don't think that I didn't see it. Zhao Rongjunju said without thinking. Cough, cough, cough. Duke Ning's old face blushed again and revealed an embarrassed expression. He quickly coughed a few times to cover it up. He thought about it carefully. His daughter's words were somewhat reasonable. With just one look at Lady Chan's bewitching eyes, how many men wouldn't be blinded by lust? As the saying goes, beauty is a feast for the eyes. Just looking at her beautiful face was enough. Who would have the mind to think if this beauty could play the guqin, sing, or recite poems? But he always needed a reason to send her into the palace to hide his true intentions. Chan, you don't know any of the talents of these noble ladies. Then do you have any other specialties? As a woman, you can't not know anything, right? Didn't your mother teach you anything? State Duke Ning didn't give up and asked again. Who said I don't know anything? I know how to kill people. The people I've killed are more than the rice you've eaten. But he couldn't say this no matter what. Thousand-faced young master pondered for a moment and realized that other than killing people, he had a skill. That was his culinary skills. This was because the pavilion master of the Purple Cloud Pavilion loved delicious food. As the young master of the Purple Cloud Pavilion, he naturally had to think of ways to gain the pavilion master's favor. Thus, he racked his brains to study recipes. After so many years, it allowed him to practice superb culinary skills. The dishes he made were fragrant, and even the picky pavilion master of the Purple Cloud Pavilion was full of praises. Thousand-faced young master thought of this and made a gesture of cooking. What is the meaning of this? Duke Ning didn't understand and frowned. If you have something to say, say it. What are you gesturing for? Zhao Rong Junju hurriedly said, Father, Qian can't speak. He's a mute. Mute? Duke Ning was shocked. He glared at Qian and instantly lost his temper. He scolded, nonsense. Zhao Rong, you are becoming more and more ridiculous. You actually want your father to send a mute into the palace, and you even want to share the favor of your cousin, the emperor. Aren't you making trouble? Zhao Rong Junju pouted. Your daughter isn't messing around. So what if Qian is a mute? But his eyes can speak. Father, if you don't believe me, then look at his eyes. If cousin emperor saw them, wouldn't he be enchanted by them? Duke Ning's heart skipped a beat, and he couldn't help but look at Qian's eyes. At first glance, he only felt that her eyes were watery, charming and bright, and she seemed to want to say something. Not bad. She really had a pair of eyes that could speak. A smile appeared on Duke Ning's face as he asked pleasantly, What did you mean by that gesture? The thousand-faced young master made a stir-frying gesture, and then made a gesture of stuffing food into his mouth. This time, Duke Ning and Princess Zhao Rong understood. Father, he said he knows how to cook. Zhao Rong Princess shouted. Tea. Duke Ning pondered for a moment and nodded his head slightly. Not bad, this is a good skill. It's 100 times better than the ability to recite poems. Daughter, did father ever say a word to you? Zhao Rong Junju said coquettishly, Father has said too much. How can I remember every word? Chapter 1570. The Zhao Rong princess happily said, Father, you mean you agree to send Qian into the palace? Duke Ning stroked his beard and said with a smile, That's right. Moreover, father has thought of a perfect method. He did not wait for Zhao Rong to ask and had the thousand-faced young master cook a few dishes. After tasting it, he was filled with praise, so he immediately sent people to send the thousand-faced young master to the Peaceful Life Palace. He only said that the Duke Ning Palace had obtained a new chef that was specially sent to the Empress Dowager. The Zhao Rong princess was filled with dissatisfaction as she kept asking Duke Ning, Father, didn't you want to send Qian to the emperor's cousin? Why are you sending her to the Empress Dowager? If you give her to the Empress Dowager, the emperor's cousin won't be able to see Qian. Silly girl, do you think the Empress Dowager is as stupid as you? If father gives Qian to her, the Empress Dowager will naturally understand father's meaning. She doesn't like Qin Ning, so if she sees Qian, what do you think she will do? Will she let Qian cook in her Peaceful Life Palace for the rest of her life and be a chef for the rest of her life? You can be assured, she definitely won't let down Qian's beauty. If father directly gives Qian to the emperor, it will only cause the emperor to regret and be suspicious. He will be suspicious of Qian and no matter how beautiful Qian is, he won't be able to get close to her. But if the Empress Dowager bestowed a chef to him, he would not be on guard. When he accidentally saw that this exquisite chef was actually of fairy-like beauty, he would definitely be smitten by Qian's beauty. No matter how beautiful the fresh flowers are, they can't compare to the wild flowers on the side of the road. Men, they all have the same mentality. Duke Dingwa smiled faintly and stopped there. The Zhao Rong princess was stunned and said in a happy voice, "Father, you're the most thoughtful." The father and daughter's plan was naturally told to the thousand-faced young master, but the thousand-faced young master also agreed. He entered the Peaceful Life Palace and showed a bit of his skills, obtaining Empress Dowager Zhou's praise. Empress Dowager Zhou followed Duke Ding's expectations and quickly sent him to the Guanyu Palace on the same day. The thousand-faced young master had not expected things to progress more smoothly than he had imagined. He had successfully entered the imperial palace as a woman and arrived at the side of the enemy he had a deep-seated hatred for. Furthermore, he was living in the same courtyard and under the same roof as her. The room Xiao Ru arranged for him was next to her room, only separated by a wall. What the thousand-faced young master did not expect was that when he was dressed as a man, Xiao Ru, who was afraid of him like a snake or scorpion, would like him dressed as a woman. When she looked at him, her eyes were like little stars, as if she wanted to dig out her heart and treat him well. He really was a fool. The thousand-faced young master looked down on Xiao Ru in his heart while enjoying Xiao Ru's care. Xiao Ru ran around for him, personally helping him decorate the room, laying out the bedding, and even giving him the royal clothes that Chen Ning had given her. Xiao Ru was not willing to wear these fine clothes, but now she generously gave them all to the thousand-faced young master. It was a pity that her good intentions had been fed to a dog, and it was a heartless large wolf dog. The thousand-faced young master laid in the soft and fragrant bed Xiao Ru had prepared for him, but his heart was thinking about how to carry out his plan. Chapter 1571. He was full of worries as he tossed and turned on the bed. How could he sleep peacefully? Since he couldn't sleep, he might as well go out for a walk and take a look around. Speaking of which, this wasn't the first time he had come to Guan Osprey Palace. The last time he came, he had gone on a killing spree and killed everyone in the palace. There was only one fish that escaped, and that was that idiot called Xiao Ru. Of course, he had intentionally let that idiot called Xiao Ru escape. If he really wanted her life, let alone one Xiao Ru, even 10 Xiao Ru wouldn't be able to survive. But at the time, he didn't want Xiao Ru to die. Xiao Ru was also one of the people who had caused him to be hung naked in front of the city gates. She had even taken off his socks and stuffed them in his mouth, almost suffocating him to death. If he didn't take revenge for this, how could he bear to let Xiao Ru die so easily? The thousand-faced young master quietly got up. He knew that ever since he had accidentally exposed himself last time, the suspicious and cautious emperor had started to send more people and hidden guards to protect Guan Osprey Palace. Even if a fly flew in from the outside, it would be silently taken care of by the hidden guards. However, they could never have imagined that a living person like him would be able to openly enter Guan Osprey Palace under everyone's eyes. Although he had entered the palace, he still didn't dare to be careless because there were countless eyes staring at him from the shadows. As long as he made the slightest mistake, he would lose his life. He had a head of black hair that reached the ground draped over his shoulders. He was barefooted and wore a gauzy long dress as he walked step by step out of the room and into the courtyard that was covered in clear radiance. Even if he was seen by others, he wasn't afraid at all. He could just say that he had just arrived and couldn't sleep well, so he wanted to come out for a walk to get some fresh air. This way, no one would suspect anything. There was a pond in the courtyard. The pond water was as clear as a mirror, reflecting the bright moon in the sky. It also clearly reflected his figure, which was like a moonlight fairy. Even he couldn't help being attracted by his figure in the water. He walked over to the pond step by step and stood by the water, silently looking at his reflection. His long, misty hair was gently swayed by the night wind, and a few strands of it brushed past his snow-white and charming face, adding a bit of charm to him. His pair of soul-stirring eyes were immersed in the mist, appearing even more blurred. So beautiful. He couldn't help stroking his hair as he looked at himself in a daze, letting out a soft sigh in his heart. He never knew that he would be this beautiful when he was disguised as a girl. He didn't know how his appearance would compare to the woman he hated to the bone. Looking at his reflection in the water, Chen Ning's appearance appeared in his mind and he began to secretly compare. He was like a red spider lily by the water, enchanting and charming, tempting people's hearts. Chen Ning was like a lotus in the water, slender and elegant, unreachable. As long as it was a man, he would definitely fall in love with her at first sight. A beautiful rose was always more eye-catching, wasn't it? The thousand-faced young master looked at himself and gave a satisfied smile. When he smiled, the beautiful girl in the water also smiled. That smile was peerless and hard to describe. Chapter 1572. He did not know when, but beside his reflection in the water, there was suddenly a man's figure. That man was wearing a black robe and had a very handsome face. His thin lips were slightly pursed and he had a dignified expression as he coldly looked at his reflection in the water. "Who are you?" That handsome man that was like a god from the ninth heaven opened his thin lips and spoke in a cold voice. His voice was very clear and it was as pleasant as a piece of jade. The thousand-faced young master couldn't help shivering as he felt a chill run down his back. He opened his mouth and wanted to say, "I am Chan, but he suddenly realized that he was pretending to be mute. At the same time, he recognized who this black-robed man behind him was. He was Mo Chuan, the young and handsome emperor of the West Chu country. He was also one of the targets he needed to deal with in the palace. What he needed to do was seduce him. The thousand-faced young master was pleasantly surprised. He never thought that he would meet his target so easily. He thought that he would have to wait a few more days, but now the chance had come unexpectedly. Under the moonlight, the fairy-like girl was reflected in the water. Her black hair and snow-white face, especially those eyes that were wide open because of shock, there was not a single part of her that wasn't beautiful. There was no man in this world that wouldn't be moved when they saw this scene. The thousand-faced young master was very confident. He used his watery eyes to look at Mo Chuan, but his feet were silently moving in the direction of the pond without leaving a trace. Suddenly, he stepped on empty air. His beautiful eyes revealed a look of panic as he looked at Mo Chuan for help. The snow-white robe on his body fluttered in the wind and he fell into the pond with a beautiful posture. Facing a beauty who lost her footing, there was no man who wouldn't reach out to save her. The thousand-faced young master's calculations were very good. He closed his eyes and waited for the young emperor to embrace him in the next moment. His plan was already half successful. Of course, he would not throw himself into his arms so easily. He wanted to reject him, first giving him a shy and timid look, then pretending to be shocked and pushing him away. Then, he would run away and deliberately leave behind a handkerchief. Men, they wouldn't cherish things that are obtained too easily. Only when they can't eat it will they never forget it. He was very confident. But in the next moment, the fake panic in his eyes became real panic. He found that the young emperor was standing where he was, a pair of bottomless black eyes looking at him like an ancient well without any ripples. However, the emperor's hands were behind his back and he did not move at all. He just watched as he fell into the pond. Impossible. How could it be like this? There must be a problem somewhere. It was impossible for him to not reach out to save a beauty like this. The thousand-faced young master was alarmed and furious. Before he could figure out why, he felt a chill under his body. With a splash, he fell into the pool, creating a huge splash. He knew how to swim, but he pretended that he didn't know how to swim at all. He struggled in the water, sometimes sinking and sometimes rising. A pair of snow-white jade-like arms stretched out of the water, matched with that pear-blossom dewy face. Her eyes were filled with tears as she pitifully looked at the indifferent man on the shore. Why was he just standing there without moving? Could it be that he saw something? That was that. You're tuning in to the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.